We're live.
Hello, welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. This is the Rewatch. I'm joined by Cian and Jack, and yeah, we're going to watch the famous game against Germany. We're going to watch it on our screens for legal reasons. We can't show it, so we're just going to have discussion while we're watching it. At the moment, Michael D. Higgins is shaking the German players' hands, and they're going to show us the lineups now in a sec. Excited, lads?
Very excited. Buzzing.
Yeah, can't wait for this now. It's a great night to look back on, especially in times like this, just to get the motivation up again, especially facing into the qualifiers again.
There's Damien Duff.
Ireland coach.
Damien Duff, yeah.
Funny how football works, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this on live or private?
Live. No, there's people in the comments.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see.
You know, Damien Duff's supposed to have done great work at Celtic. Everyone seems very happy with him there, the fans and the staff and everything.
Just for Thomas in the comments, who's asking how do we watch? Thomas, we managed to get a stream, or not a stream, sorry. We have a copy of the game from someone. We can't link it, or we can't tell you. We can't stream it because of the rights issues.
We get in trouble if we.
Yeah, you'll have to look for it yourself if you can find it. But if not, we'll be talking you through what's going on. Ireland legend Paul McGrath here with his family.
Martin O'Neill and Roy.
Martin
O'Neill. Sorry, what you say, Jack?
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just saying, Roy looking calm as ever. He doesn't seem fazed by the opposition at all.
Yeah, he never does.
No.
Does every country do that thing with the president?
I don't think so.
It was kind of odd when it was McAleese, but I like it with Michael Lee, because Michael Lee, as far as I'm aware, he's a proper football man, isn't he? He's very involved.
He is.
Galway fan,
yeah. He was very involved in Galway, all right, yeah.
Sure, they made the President Cup for him. It wasn't a thing before him, wasn't it? It was especially for him, I'm sure, wasn't it?
It was after he came in, yeah.
I was actually saying it to the lads before the stream, but I was at this game. I haven't actually watched it on a telly before, but I'll be interested to see. I was saying to Jack, I've been watching it through rose-tinted contact lenses, glasses, and conservatory in my head. In my head, Ireland played them off the park, but obviously that wasn't the case. It'll be interesting to see now how badly we were dominated.
Where were you for it, Jack?
I was at home. I couldn't go that night. I was hoping to get up for it, but I couldn't make it, so I was at home in the sitting room watching it. But I would have given anything to be there that night. Yeah, I was there for the Bosnia game, and I've been there for several games since, but this is one night that I couldn't make it. I've regretted it since, but I'm looking forward to getting this going again now and reliving it,
This was actually my second ever live Ireland game, and the second time I watched him play World Champions. I saw him play Italy in Croke Park years before, about 6 years before, nearly to the night.
Yeah, Whelan.
Yeah, that night with St. Ledger and Whelan, the 2-2 draw. Another brilliant night for Irish football.
Great goal, he scored past be fun. I was in Canada for this game. I was living over in Canada, and we were in a bar full of Germans, and they were not happy. And obviously, well, we might relive the celebrations later on, but they were not happy anyway when Ireland scored and beer went everywhere. Yeah, it was good times.
Yeah,
well, I wasn't optimistic going into this game, and you'll see why now in a minute when we look at the two lineups, like they're total opposite ends. Here we go. Out on the vein.
Yeah.
Shazy, what a legend.
It's such a changed Irish team. Like we'll see, like you said in a minute. But I was looking up before the game, and there's only one player who played against Switzerland in the last game who played this match, and that's Jeff Hendrick. And for an Ireland team that you think there's been a lot of the same players playing for years, it's strange to think that there's been such a big change.
Yeah, you see Wezzo there as well. Yeah, if you look around, obviously, people are always going on about Hendrick and saying that he never really lived up to the form after the Euros and so on. But I heard someone speaking about it, I think it was Off the Ball I was listening to earlier on, and they were saying that, if he's playing in a more kind of dynamic way of playing football, I think he'll do better for it, I'm looking around some of the players there, like James McCarthy. If you look back at any of the recent giant killings or big wins, he's always played a part in it, and people forget that. People just think that he's a no-mark midfielder and he doesn't make a difference in the game. But I'm sure if you were to point it out on all the big games that we played, he played it. Here's the lineup anyway.
Will we go through it? So sorry.
Yeah, go on.
It's Shea Given in goals. Cyrus Christie right back. Seamus Coleman was injured. Keogh and O'Shea centre half, Ward left back, McCarthy and Houlihan, Hendrick and Brady as the midfield. RT have it as a diamond, but I don't think that's how it lined out. And then Murphy and Walters up top. I think the way it went was it was a 3 in midfield with Walters and Brady out wide with Murphy up top, if my memory serves me right. But I remember before the game, people had been very surprised Darren Murphy started the game.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, as I said earlier, I wasn't very optimistic about this game back then. You know, we're obviously missing Seamus Coleman in that lineup. You know, Cyrus Christie playing right back, who I think was, you know, he did decent things. Again, Stephen Ward gets a lot of abuse for that one game against Denmark. Was a good player between 2012 and 2016. Was a decent player. Okay, yeah, he did have a great game against Denmark that time, but he wasn't, you know, terrible. He was playing Premier League football with Burnley and doing well for them as well.
He really did fit into the O'Neill system, I think. He was a very solid player, you know.
Yeah, and then, like, obviously John O'Shea, what a servant he was. And, you know, Richard Keogh, obviously the drink driving thing soured his situation. But, I mean, I always was very confident watching Ireland when Richard Keogh was playing. Even though he was playing Championship, I never really had any worries about him. You know, I would never really say, oh, no, Richard Keogh's playing. I was always fairly happy when Keogh was playing. I think that showed as well when he played with Duffy then. He always had a solid foundation with the other defenders. And, you know, Cyrus Christie, okay, he has his limits or whatever, but he was always decent going forward. But here's the German team. I'll let you go through that, Jesus.
So you've Neuer in goals. You got a back four of Boateng, Ginter, Hummels, and Hector. A midfield of Ozil, Kroos, Gundogan, and Rice, and Gutsa, and Thomas Muller up front, which is just a pretty disgusting team, to be honest.
That's a scary team, like.
Yeah. And then you look at the bench even, and obviously it's clear to say, but every single one of them would probably walk into the Irish team. Obviously, world champions at the time as well.
Schweinsteiger and ever present.
Here's our bench as well. You were talking about the team changer. We got Ford, Randolph, McShane, O'Kane, Pearce, McGoldrick, McGeady. Oh, they're off going off there.
Still long. I saw Kevin Doyle was on the bench at the time too. Darren Gibson, a man who never really came through for Ireland.
He was a good player when he wasn't injured.
Yeah.
You know, Aidan McGeady's in the squad there. He didn't play for Ireland after this, did he?
He did play.
Yeah, he did play in the Euros
for O'Neill, but he was
sure he did. Yeah.
Player. We have a good question here from Shamrock Rovers Fan TV. I'll put it up there. Do you think Egan will stay in Ireland's squad and Richard comes back? Personally, I do. I think John Egan has had an amazing season in the Premier League for a debut season, and I think him and Duffy have shown a really good partnership. I would be interested though to see how Kenny lines up. He played with a 3 at times, 3 at the back with Ireland at under 21 level, and maybe there's a space for Richard Keogh there, but there's also other young lads coming through.
I think it's very hard to see Egan taking over the team.
I think Keogh's gone. If I'm being honest, I think Keogh's gone.
I can't see him really getting another club, especially with the kind of injury he got.
Yeah, well, Darragh O'Shea, I think, is next in line to step up there. You've also got Nathan Collins, Conor Masterson. And if they keep developing like they have been, I don't think it'll be long. And Kenny knows them, so I don't think it'll be long before they're in the squad, you know. So, again, this is another thing that'll just let things play out. Egan should not be overlooked and should not be taken out of the team. I mean, if you look at it, I think Kenny himself said, Egan's played 2.5 games for Ireland, started right, but he's been captain in one of them games. So that goes to show how important he is.
Yeah,
he is quality.
I'd even put Egan above Shane Duffy almost at this point. Off club performance, obviously Duffy has been huge.
They're going by form, you would have to, yeah.
But I also Everton also played. I think Paul, you probably know better than me, but Coleman's played a bit of a back three for them at times with Sidibe right wing back. It could be something Ireland look at as another option with Doherty. You have Doherty and Coleman both in the team then, but you don't want to shoehorn them in either.
Well, I think it is something that the defender O'Shea, was it?
25 seconds and first chance to Germany.
But no, sorry, he was offside there.
He was.
VAR.
It was Stephen Ward, not O'Shea.
Stephen Ward, the man who gets abused all the time. But he's played in the back three under Ancelotti and he's done well. But see, the thing about Coleman is when we've had to play against teams where we wanted to attack them, he's played Sidibe as the right back, and when we played against teams where we know we'd have to defend, he plays Coleman, and that for me shows that Coleman's the better defender. And I think Coleman's a better defender than Doherty. And I think that you should try get both of them in the team, but play Matt Doherty as an attacker, not a defender, and you'll get the best out of the both of them then. Coleman won't have to cover as much ground like getting up forward. Doherty can do that, and then Matt Doherty won't have to do that much defensively. I mean, I know it sounds, oh yeah, that's real simple and everything like that, but I think that what we should be working towards, and I'm sure Coleman could play in the back three. He only really did it a couple of times. If Ancelotti was trying to shore up a game, he brought Coleman on from the bench, to shore it up. And again, this goes back down to experience, defensive qualities, and so on. And you know, people just like the new shiny thing and think Matt Doherty's the new shiny thing. And don't forget that Coleman gave more than a decade of service, a good service for Ireland, and barring the leg break. You know, I think if we were playing that Denmark game and Coleman's playing, I don't think we lose that 5-1. I think we get a good result there. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I think, you're dead right. I think Coleman's importance was only seen after the leg break. That there seemed to be kind of a toothlessness to Ireland after the lost Coleman in that campaign, and it really started to fall apart from there. I remember the striking thing from the Ireland-Italy game in the Euros was when you're there in person. Oh, no, your slip. When you're there in person, you see how important he was in that. Like off the ball, he was running over and screaming at players to work and work and work, and it was just such a character for the team.
Yeah, you know, I think he's vital even going ahead.
Sorry, Jack, what were you saying?
You know,
it's a good little passage of play.
You know,
sorry, Jack,
leadership qualities. I think Seamus is the man. Like you say, defending, he is the main man. You know, Doherty can play an attacking role, and obviously, as we've seen with Wolves, he's best out wide. You know, attacking is his real place. But I think Seamus has to be in the team. I'd be very slow to leave him out if I was making the call. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We have another question here from Celtic Warrior or Celtic Warrior. I'm not sure exactly which one they want, but who do you think Ireland's best prospect is? They reckon Adam Ida for pace and power. I reckon Ida's a good one, but it's hard to pick one.
Yeah.
I'll let you go ahead, and then I'll think of one.
Okay.
Jake, if you want to kick
well, I suppose, you know, Ida is a great talent. Ida, he showed for Norwich that he has the skill, as you say. He has the pace. He's a great striker. Aaron Connolly, you know, I know I'm kind of sticking with the strikers here for a minute, but you look at Aaron Connolly and he showed for club, and you know, for country he showed glimpses. Like, you know, there was nothing solid yet. And with Troy Parrott is yet to be seen. You know, Troy Parrott has probably received the most talk out of any of the young Irish prospects so far. But I think he certainly has potential. I'm looking forward to seeing him over the next couple of months, the next campaign or so. Malombi has really received a lot of credit over the last while as well. He's showed fantastic. You know, he's been getting great credit for club, and I think it's only a matter of time before he comes into the team. And you know, Stephen Kenny is obviously going to be looking to younger players now, players that he might have worked with in the under 21s that have showed in League of Ireland. He won't be afraid to bring up League of Ireland players, former League of Ireland players. So I'd be tipping Malombi to come into the team sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think I said it in the Kenny video we did. I think in terms of the first fella to make a real impact, I think I could see Ida making a really big impact in the short term. I think Malumbi is the obvious one, definitely for sure, after the levels he's gone to already this season. But I think Ida adds that level of unpredictability that we saw with Connolly, but I think to almost a whole new level. So I'd be really going with Ida for the most instant impact and the one to get the headlines soonest.
Well, I don't see why Obafemi is everyone seems to overlook him. He's the one scoring regularly for Southampton in the Premier League. I don't understand why people overlook him all the time. Okay, he has a bit of growing up to do, but I think next season you'll probably see the best of him and start seeing him getting a real run of games. Do I think he is the biggest prospect? Probably not. I like the Waterford boys, Malumbi and O'Connor. I wish O'Connor was getting more game time at Celtic.
It'd be great to see.
I wish, because I think he's class and he can play in so many different positions as well. Like he can play both fullback positions and midfield and do them all really well. You've seen him in the under-19s Euros, and I think he played centre mid for that, and he was captain, and they really missed him in the semis, didn't they? Because he was suspended for the semis, and that's when they went out.
Yeah, he was very
I think Lee's a very good player. I'd like to see him get more game time, as I say, but if you were to go off game time and making an impact. Probably Malumbi. Dar O'Shea has done well as well, but only really started to come into the game the last few weeks through injuries. So he'll be another one to keep an eye on. I think he could be the next sort of Duffy or Richard Dunn type player who'll end up winning us games, just throwing his body at things. But he's also very good on the ball, which is funny enough. So he could be like O'Shea.
We've got Shamrock Rovers Fan TV has come in with Jason Knight, who we've left out, who's a good shout. And M. Murphy asks, do we think Josh Cullen is underrated? I actually don't know too much about Cullen. I haven't seen him play enough to really make much of a comment.
Well, Jack, you go ahead there, Phil.
Well, it's kind of hard to say, really. Obviously, the more young talent we see coming up, the better secure the future. But a bit like Cian, I wouldn't know as much about him. Obviously, I've heard great things and I've seen a few good things about him. And I suppose you could say he's underappreciated. He doesn't get to talk that parrot or that con they get. But I think he's certainly in with a shout, and I think he's entitled to a call up as the rest of them. Given his performances.
I think compared to when I was a kid, it's nice to have multiple people to talk about, because when I was a youngster, the only young lad I remember anyone talking about really was Keith Tracy. Is it Keith Tracy? Is that his name? The left winger, and he never really came to anything. But he was the kind of the hot prospect. And besides that, you never really ended up with. At least we've got lads to be more than one. The fact we're talking even more than one fella is great. But just on this match, the fact we've debated. I remember watching this game. It's all Germany, and I remember being there in the night, and it was every little half block. If a German player had to play the ball sideways rather than forwards, fans were absolutely loving it. It's celebrated like it was a goal. Ireland winning that goal kick was probably celebrated. I think this game.
Don't forget coming into this game, we'd been beaten by Scotland, so we obviously needed a result. But if you were looking at the starting lineups of both sides, and you look at their team, Manuel Neuer, Jerome Boateng, Marco Reus still right now is absolutely world class, even though he's had a lot of injuries. I watched the Dortmund documentary from last season, and it just shows his importance. He's unbelievable. Back then, 2015, Ozil was unbelievable as well for Arsenal. I think that was around the time when he was getting record assists. What a turn by Wezo there.
That was unbelievable.
What a player.
And then... Did you get a free kick there, no? And then you look around, they've got, I think Podolski's there as well, who was a very good player as well for Arsenal. So they had really, really, really good players. Now, we had Walters. For us, was so important on that right-hand side. And you'll probably see that more later on as the game goes on. But I think Johnny Walters' importance to that Irish team was... Again, you speak about the Denmark game, we lost 5-1, and Coleman, obviously, the leg break, but Walters was a big miss as well.
Yeah, I think even later in the campaign, you'll remember the Bosnia game is what really stands out for me. That was probably one of my best moments of an Ireland game. Walters scoring 2 goals.
What a ball!
Darryl Murphy in behind with the pace.
The thing with this match is mad is it does kind of for me epitomise O'Neill's era in that they're such a hard-working team. Like, you see them, they're running for everyone, and the fans are just so behind the team. I've never known anything like it now. Like I said in the last video, my time as Ireland has been Steve Staunton, it's been Trapattoni, but even compared to Euro 2012, there was doubts. This was just a real united fan base behind the team of, with respect to the players, not an extraordinary bunch of players. Probably worse than the current crop, I would say, just in terms of, you don't have Shane Duffy, you don't have your John Egan's, you don't even have Enda Stevens. There's not many players in this team starting. I can't think of one that was performing week to week at the top Premier League level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Coleman would have been a lot more.
But I mean, it's the starting 11 here. They weren't. Coleman was injured. You know what I mean? That way.
But Coleman was only injured for a little period. He wasn't actually. This wasn't when he broke his leg. Broke his leg after the Euro.
Yeah. Oh, was I given offside for that? No, I thought he.
Yeah, that wasn't offside at all.
No. Cyrus played.
But I agree with what you're saying. No, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, the chance came in there. Yeah, if you're looking at the team, okay. Oh, well tackled.
Oh, who's that? One interception.
Wezo again.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him just skipping around players like they're not even there. What a legend. He loves that little, doesn't he? The little left, outside the left foot little turn. Just a little
He loves it,
roundabout.
yeah.
He's like
He can
his
turn
special
in just a
move.
small space, like.
Yeah, no, but what I was going to say to you was, it's a typical, as you said, it epitomised Martin O'Neill's era, but it was also, you remember how many times Martin O'Neill in Europe with Celtic, Celtic had no right to win games and went out and won games against elite teams. And this was very similar in that aspect. Again, like the Celtic team, the team he had was very good and could put it up to teams, but they elevated their performances.
Yeah.
They elevated to heights that probably the fans didn't know that they had. And I think that in this example, I mean, look at the back four: Ward, Christie, Keogh, and O'Shea. Doesn't exactly scream pace when you're up against Marco Royce and the rest, you know. So to be organised and everything else that came with it, O'Neill was good at that. But
yeah,
the way he finished his tenure soured it. You know what I mean? He probably should have walked after the 5-1. And I think carrying on from that, and then just he was very bitter with everything, wasn't he? After that,
The problem was though, didn't they give him an extension before the Denmark game? Hadn't he been given a new extension before the Denmark game? And the thing is, Jesus Christ! Even though I know we're not going to score, I'm terribly nervous.
Bodies on the line.
But no, the problem is, I think the whole thing was built on this kind of community team spirit, and the fans were a part of that. And when that showed any sign of crumbling, the whole thing fell apart. Obviously, look, there's things that happened in the dressing room too. We're not going to get too far into it because you don't know what to believe. But it just soured, and like you say, he probably should have walked away after the 5-1. But I understand why a man of like a football manager is never. You have to back yourself to be a manager at that level. I think he had to. You have to try and turn it around. But I just think, just in terms of stature, I know a name is only worth a certain amount in football. O'Neill's probably the biggest manager Ireland will ever get. Obviously, he did a brilliant job at Celtic, brilliant job at Aston Villa. Not a great job at Sunderland, but Sunderland was a basket case.
Trapattoni was bigger than him,
I suppose. But, I mean, O'Neill had interviewed for the England job just a few years beforehand. You know, he was one of the biggest
Trapattoni, look at Trapattoni's CV.
I mean, yeah, I suppose if we're talking just name, but I mean, O'Neill probably could have gotten another top Premier League job.
Martin O'Neill was tipped.
What's a top Premier League job? He went to Sunderland.
I'm sure he nearly got Villa into the Champions League. He got Villa.
He was never. Well, hang on. He didn't though, because he never finished ahead of Everton. So he could never pass by Everton, who also didn't get into the Champions League.
I remember there was one season where it was Villa and Arsenal were going head to head, and there was a game where they were level on points with about 10 games to go, and Arsenal beat them. That's my memory. Now I could be totally. I haven't looked it up, but I remember there was one season where they had young Carew and like Bonlahor, and they were giving him proper, a proper good.
Still finished behind Everton.
Did they?
Yeah.
Is there anything here in the comments?
2008. That was 2008.
I think 7-8. Yeah, I think 7-8 was the season because they sold Ashley Young to the year after.
Look, I'm not saying that he wasn't a good manager or anything like that, and I know what you're saying. But what I'm saying to you is, he wasn't a huge name. Like, he was a big name, and he came out. He had a good reputation from Celtic. That's where he got his reputation.
He did a very good job at Leicester as well. Yeah, Leicester. Yeah. He won the League Cup, didn't he, with Robbie Savage and Muzzy, is it? And those lads, isn't it?
Players love him. Like John Hartson will not say a bad word about him. John Hartson, great challenge.
This game.
Again, Richie coming to the rescue.
That was a great tackle.
Yeah.
Richie sporting the headband.
That's a bandage, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It kind of sums up Richard Keogh, to be honest.
He was always going around with something, a cast on his hand. But just to go back to Martin O'Neill, you look at I know what you're saying about Villa. He did a good job at Villa, but what I'm saying is they were always in the early club. So were probably Everton at the time. But he went to Sunderland there, wasn't getting money, so he just decided to leave. That's the report. So I don't think he would have got a top job in England at the time. I think after that he left Villa for similar reasons.
Yeah.
So I don't think he would have got a top job. Sorry?
I think he fell out with the owners at both Villa and Sunderland. Now Sunderland is an absolute basket case.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be hard for Martin to fall out with people, would it?
Someone here saying that they were shown on camera in this game. The kid with the Ireland hat on at the start of this match.
Really, yeah?
Fair play.
Caught on camera.
Hey,
how many people are on?
We've got 15 watching live, and we've got a lot of action in the comments. We have a quick question here: Bazunu or Kelleher?
It depends on what way their careers go. I don't actually like those types of questions. Like, how can you?
Yeah.
Well, to put it this way, Kelleher, when he's fit, starts ahead of Bazunu. Bazunu's a lot younger.
Yeah.
There's like 4 years between them or something.
I'd rather give. I think under 21s isn't about getting 40 caps. I'd rather everyone gets their 10 or 15 games. I wouldn't be a fan of giving Bazunu his caps ahead of Kelleher when Kelleher's on the edge. You know what I mean?
But why are we talking about those two keepers when we have O'Hara and Travers?
Yeah, you forget about Travers. He gets he doesn't get enough coverage. I don't think that could have been a yellow, or it probably should have been a yellow.
That was very close. For anyone watching who didn't know, John Walters kicked him in the head.
John Walters caught Matthijs Ginter in the head with a high leg. Matthijs Ginter, I think, was it?
Was it? Oh, maybe so.
I think we did set up in that diamond formation for this game, because I'm looking here. Walters is on the left here.
Yeah, it's strange. Or is it a two-man midfield? It's kind of, I'd say it's a fairly wherever you can be there. You know what I mean? Sort of system to an extent. It looks like
all our players are back in our half anyway.
Murphy's up top on his own. Darren Murphy had a great time under O'Neill as well. I think it's underrated just how good he was, especially that Italy game.
How good or how lucky?
How good? I think he was very good for the role he played. Not as good as Goalkeeper did under McCarthy. I think Darren Murphy's a very good. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I don't rate him at all.
He didn't score much.
Look, he was just up there as a target man. I suppose he done that well, but
he just did it there.
I think of the Wales game, and I remember him getting in behind and just no pace. I know he's old now, but look, he done well to kind of rebuild his career, get back into the national team, but he never really convinced me. I'm much happier seeing McGoldrick start.
Oh, of course. Was it him and Didzy who played up front together at Ipswich under McCarthy, and Murphy was top scorer of the championship, wasn't he, one season?
Could well have been, yeah.
The year that they nearly got into the playoffs. Now, I know McCarthy wasn't a popular figure at Ipswich, but he had a few good seasons there.
Well, when he left, they went down, didn't they?
And I think the fans were pretty happy. I remember there was a lot of anti-McCarthy sentiment, and most fans were happier playing good football in League One than keeping Mick, from what you'd read anyway.
Oh, it's offside.
That's the offside goal.
Jesus. Still, even now, even though I know that's not a goal, I still feel like it's a goal.
I know.
Look at the boy celebrating.
I was saying to you beforehand, but remember on the dart in, because we came up from Bantry, West Cork, so we were on a long trip. We parked out I think it was out in Red Cow, and we got the Lewis in. I'm not sure. Anyway, we're on some kind of a Dublin fancy system, and
you would have been on the dart.
Yeah. So we were on the dart in, and we had a German fella one side of us telling us that we'd be lucky to get out with a draw, and that we were probably going to get a hiding. And I had an Irish fella the other side of me telling me he couldn't wait to watch Mesut Ozil play in the flesh. And I was talking to my father before we came on the stream. My father was saying he was genuinely quite angry listening to them. And I'd say the sentiment was probably fairly well spread throughout the Germans, that they were coming expecting to just walk this game.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Go on, Jack.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that, they were bound to be optimistic, Being honest with you, as we've seen now after, the opening stages, they're all over Ireland. Ireland didn't have a shot.
What do you mean? Man United just after kicking the ball out of play after being pressed by Jonathan Walters.
I think basically to sum up.
Is he jumping? Is he under pressure?
Just give him a sec. Can't hear you, Jack.
You're after lagging out there slightly, Jack. He'll be back in a second. But no, I do think it's not a bad performance from Ireland, but it's fair to say Germany were all over them.
Yeah, no, definitely. But but you'd expect that. You look at the quality of the team there. He's back there now, I think.
Am I back? Sweet.
You are now.
So your Wi-Fi was acting a bit crazy there, so we just said we wait. Can you remember what you were saying?
I was just saying it was hard to believe that Germany hadn't scored even at this stage, with the high pressure. But it just showed, like you were saying, how well drilled the defense was. They kept their line. They didn't move too far away from where they were supposed to be. I think that's what got us through it at the end of the day. But I was just going to say to Cian, where were you sitting this night? I'm trying to figure out whereabouts.
The corner flag to the right of Shay Given, in that corner, in the family section with my father and my brother. We were up there because my father's involved in the club, so he was able to get tickets through the club. But that's where they sit you. It's kind of the highest seats that you can find. But we had a good spot. I remember I was saying to him beforehand that my father hadn't remembered it, but do you know the Diet Coke ad where your man, it rolls down the hill and he opens and it sprays all over him? That was me when the goal went in. I had a bottle of Coke in my hand and I just poured it straight down myself, jumping around. Are you serious? Yeah, it was absolute. And for the whole, Jack, what is it? Probably a 5-hour drive back home? I was just sticky.
Oh, stop! Yeah. Oh, it's not too bad. After you win, it makes it a bit better. But when you're coming back down
if it was after the Cork City Rovers game, I would have been sick and I would have been into the toilet in the bus washing myself.
That was sad. That was a sad night.
But no, it's I think it's because I watched the other one on telly. Now, this is my first time, like I said, first time watching this match back because I was there. Yeah. But I almost have a bit more nostalgia for the Ireland-Germany game because of the fact I'm watching it at home. In a way of, I can remember that performance, the away game, the 1-1 draw, like that O'Shea goal. We had absolutely no right to get that result. But I remember it being a very good performance where it was just gonna be one of those ones where Germany grinded out. They were knocking on the door for a second goal, and O'Shea scored an absolutely brilliant goal by all accounts. It was
but I think that's the thing with the Ireland team is that this particular Ireland team, we had leaders in the team. You forget Robbie Keane's on the bench there. He was kind of coming towards the end of his best days. I wouldn't say the end of his days, but the end of his best days. Obviously playing in MLS. And Shay Given as well. Shay Given's in goal there at the moment. Obviously, we know that Randolph comes on from, but like they're real leaders who played in World Cups, played in the Euros before this. That I think they drove the team on. John Walters, in my opinion, was a real leader for us as well, led by example. I know Seamus isn't playing here, but he was a leader, still is. John O'Shea, leader. So many of them, like proper leaders, and proper knew what it was like playing for the Irish shirt. And I think you kind of look around the squad now. There's no real leader that makes you go, all right, well maybe Duffy Egan, but there's not as many as there was in this team. And I think they showed that in the performance. Shane Long, I suppose, led by example in the goals he scored at this time. Who else is there? Jeff Hendry was good, but he's never been a leader. James McCarthy, I suppose, in his performances, would be a leader. And knows how to get the best out of his teammates around him. Sorry. I think when he gets back into the team under Kenny, and Kenny said that he's going to get back talking to him, I think that would be a big bonus if he can stay fit. And we can use him for the next 2 or 3 years. He'll probably retire after that, I'd say, just to prolong his club career. But if we can get him in for the next round of games or campaign, I think he'll be a big asset. And I know someone spoke about Josh Cullen, didn't they? I think Josh Cullen's going to be great. I mean, Charlton really struggled when he went out of the team, and then when he went back in, you could see the difference in the results again. Lee Bowyer seems to be a huge fan of him, and he wasn't a bad player himself, so he'll know a good player when he sees him. So it'll be interesting as well. If he goes back to West Ham next season, will he get game time? If he does get game time, then he'll probably have to be an automatic starter, wouldn't he, ahead of Glenn Whelan?
Yeah.
Or,
well, it'd be between him and McCarthy, wouldn't it, in midfield?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to kind of, like you say, it's hard to pinpoint where, but I think McCarthy will be a good addition to the team again. Just that anchor in the middle of the field. What games he played in that Wales game, didn't he? The playoff where he beat Wales.
I don't think he played. No, I think he's injured.
It's hard to point, but he's been a rock for Ireland in a lot of games, but he doesn't get enough credit. And I think RTE went out raining, especially on the company, but like they gave him an awful hard time, himself and Whelan, especially around the time Whelan was there. I know Whelan was a certain type of player, but for the way O'Neill's playing, if you watch this game, Whelan and McCarthy were two. I know Whelan's not playing obviously, but they were criticised for being players that they weren't. They were basically criticised for not being Wes Hoolahan at times, which was
Yeah.
Very unfair
And
for
that
two
was
very top quality players. Like, Glenn Whelan kept Gianni Imbula out of the Stoke team and played 38 appearances under Mark Hughes. So he was still making a lot of appearances in the Premier League, because I remember going to great lengths to defend him after early games as a younger man on Twitter.
Well, so many people have I did an interview obviously with Conor Howerton the other day, and he brought up Glenn Whelan, and I asked him, and I said, like, how good is Glenn Whelan? And he just goes, till you play with him, you don't realise actually how good he is, and you don't play 8 to 10 years in the Premier League without being a quality player. You know, getting nearly 90 caps for the country or whatever the amount of caps he has. Without being a good player. And yeah, it is this kind of thing with Dunphy. Everybody has to take Dunphy's point as gospel that, a player, just because he's not playing sexy football means he's a bad player. I think I always say it. It's like Glenn Whelan, he came in, done a job for us, turns up at every opportunity, has never turned down a cap. And these are the types of players that we want. What would you rather a Declan Rice, for example, who's going to turn up and just take caps off people, or would you rather actually have someone who wants to play for the shirt, a good player, maybe not?
Unlucky there, touch.
Who's that? Wezo again?
Is that Wezo? Yeah.
No, it's Hendrick and Wezo.
Looking for the foul.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? But back then, like, everyone just took Dunphy's word for it and stuff like that, and it just gets annoying because it just brought a level of negativity. They were making out that James McCarthy does nothing. He's supposed to be a number 10, but he's a sitting midfielder. When Roberto Martinez brought him into Everton, I was kind of unsure on what way he played, but I just wish that he didn't get that leg break, because when Allardyce actually came in, he was getting game time, and he was starting he was starting to kind of get a run of games. And he was probably our best midfielder ahead of Idrissa Gana Gueye, who obviously went off to PSG not long after, our season after that. With James McCarthy, for me, I just think you look at a lot of the big results around this time, and he was involved and was a damn good player, for being honest. It just, again, I think some people who watch football, there's a lot of these people who criticise, I don't think they've actually ever played football, and they don't realise the importance.
I think there's a big pub crew around, not just Irish football, but football in Ireland as a whole, who, the people who criticise you for watching the League of Ireland, who say, I couldn't watch that shite, and then I'll go watch Burnley Brighton 0-0 on a Saturday and love it because Sky tells them to. Like, I remember watching the Euro 2016 final with a friend in a pub, and there was lads there, like, I think Cristiano Ronaldo played that match with a serious ligament injury, had to go off. And people saying, this man, he's only faking, he's only this and that, as if a player will fake a World Cup or a European Championship final injury. You know what I mean? So I think there's definitely an armchair manager sort of culture in Ireland that's picked up from probably an English style of, watching football, which is just hypercritical. And Dunphy plays up to that, and people love Dunphy for it, and people listen to his podcast for it.
Yeah, well, I think someone like, at least Liam Brady would always try and find a way to actually make a point there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I always kind of respected Brady and Giles more. Whereas I always found Dunphy was always just looking for like a headline, or looking to make a headline for views, controversy. Do you know what I mean? Instead of actually focusing on
that's what gets them clicks and views and stuff. But yeah, I got the lads I like on our team. I love Didi Hamann on it because he's frank, but he's not critical for this. If Ireland play badly, he says they play badly. If Ireland play well, he says they play well. But he always makes a point, like you say. But it's these guys who just come on and, just because they're getting paid to criticize, they criticize. Like you see it this week.
Well, I never understood. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, you saw it this week with certain former players about Kenny this week, just because they get column inches out of criticising Stephen Kenny and get a spot in the paper. They were coming out saying that he didn't have a good CV.
Yeah,
players that were never really had a great career anyway, did they? But
it just shows.
Not go into that. Yeah. What did you say, Jack?
I was just saying it shows, disregarding the League of Ireland again. Stephen Kenny's achievements in the League of Ireland were fantastic. He was consistent manager for years, and to show the disrespect he gets when he gets the big Ireland job. We have to give him a chance. I can't see him doing a worse job than any of the lads have done before.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to see him do well. Obviously, we want to see him do well, but it is a step up from League of Ireland. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that he's he's capable of?
I
Like,
think
will
for
he be
me,
able to control the dressing room? Will he be able to kind of motivate
Yeah.
the lads in the same way Mick was? And
I think there's so much goodwill from, especially like he'll have leaders like James McLean loves him from the time at
Yeah.
Derry together. And I just think, like, if you look at, let's say Michael O'Neill at Northern Ireland came from the League of Ireland, and Kenny's done a much more complete job in the League of Ireland and at more clubs than O'Neill did, you know. So I
Yeah.
think there's no reason Kenny can't do well, and I think he has enough senior figures in the dressing room who'll hugely back him. I presume people like Shane Duffy and these other lads will listen to lads like James McLean and hear how good a manager he is, you know.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah,
heard
I
anyone say
suppose
bad about Kenny.
I actually left McLean out when I was counting the leaders from today. I wish he'd do more on the pitch, but I'd say he's a leader and a role model for other players in the squad there. But what I was going to say was, on your point there was, that's gone out of my head now. It's gone out of my head now.
Totally good. No, I look. Whoever's Ireland manager, I'll back him to an extent. The least I'll ever back someone is the way Mick. I wasn't a fan of Mick, but I'll never go to an Ireland game and want him not to win. And you know, but I'd love to see Kenny do well because it could do wonders for the league. You know, even
I remember now.
Oh yeah, you remember? Go on, so fire away. I was filling in the gap for you.
So people are going on about Kenny's achievements, this, that, and the other. But like as you said, he couldn't do any worse than the people before him. Mick, I think, deserves credit, and I think people were very quick to dismiss him. He did get the fans back on board, because you remember O'Neill's last year was horrific. And at least Mick got a bit of a tune out of the players and a bit of a buzz back, which was missing for ages. So you got to give credit there. And then with Kenny, I mean, Keith Andrews, who's played with the teams, the team before this, 2012 team, he would have played with players, and he would have had, and you've got Duff there as well. So you have the players. So if they're not going to listen to Kenny, you're going to listen to Duff, and you're going to listen to Andrews. So I think that argument's very, very stupid. And I mean, Andrews just came out and said how impressed he's been by Kenny and his ideas and his modern. And Kenny has purposely picked Duff and Andrews because they're modern day coaches, not like Mick's probably had Terry Connor, who's older. Robbie Keane, he's a more modern coach, but for me, he just looked like he was just training in with the lads, just getting the buzz back up. I'm not really sure what exactly his specific role was in the, and obviously they don't know how they're going to fit him into a specific role now. But is that Wezzo and John Walters with the link?
Yeah, Walters just wide of post.
I think it's a corner ball, is it?
You see that about Wezzo? Like, he's just not phased. These are the world champions at the time, and he's just not phased by them. I forgot to mention they've got Gotts up there as well, and Thomas Muller.
I think the thing with Wes was that RTE, he became so divisive, almost through no fault of his own, is that there was people who agreed, who listened to what Dunphy said, and then there was people who were so angry about the way Dunphy was saying it that they almost started to dislike Wes for no real reason. You know what I mean? Like, I remember I've
never known anyone to dislike Wes.
I didn't dislike him, but I almost didn't want him to play to give the other players a chance to prove themselves, and that was created by the people who came out and said, "Oh, these players are terrible, play Wes instead." And I will admit to having a time where I thought, "Oh yeah, no, Wes should be playing. We should be playing these fellas. Wes is useless," because I was trying to disagree with the other fellas. So yeah, I think Wes never really got a fair crack at the whip in hindsight. But
well, you're watching this back now. What do you think about Wes now? Watching it back,
the top player, yeah. But I think that in certain games, like let's just say, for example, in the next campaign, games like the game against Austria or the game against Wales, in a more tight game where Ireland are having to go a bit more, there was games where they needed Whelan and McCarthy, and people had to respect the fact that I think people needed to respect O'Neill's decision more and not just play the hooligan card whenever it came to criticising Ireland,
the Dunphy card, more like
the Dunphy card. Yeah, that's what I mean. Is he almost made hooligan a lightning rod.
Yeah,
for people that didn't see there because they mightn't be watching, Götze had to go off after a bit of a tussle. He's been replaced by Schürrle for Germany.
And you know who he had that tussle with?
Who was it? Was it Wes?
James McCarthy.
Oh, nice. McCarthy's dropping bodies all around him.
I'm telling you, people don't know the importance of he He let him know he was there, and then all of a sudden he just shot himself and he was off.
He couldn't handle it.
Couldn't handle the heat.
So
There is
Shirley's
a-
on now.
Sorry. There is a level of I remember having a conversation with someone about it. I can't remember who it was, but under O'Neill, the Aviva, there were certain teams that came and really didn't fancy it. The atmosphere.
Yeah.
There were certain teams that were unfazed. I think Wales, Scotland weren't phased. But I remember when Austria came, when Bosnia came, they were really not liking the hostile atmosphere of the Aviva around this time. I think the fans played a huge part in O'Neill's managing campaign.
Yeah, and
massive,
I wrote that. I wrote that comment on our Instagram earlier. We were talking about Kenny and saying that we need to make this atmosphere intimidating and stuff. Some woman came on and said that, saying, "What do you mean by intimidating?" I think she thought I meant we want to be scaring people. No, I just mean get the crowd up and going at teams, and that's what we need to do. I think it shows Germans terrified coming to the Viva. Although they dominated, we never gave up. The crowd got behind the team, gave the players a lift, and I think if you look at the Switzerland game when Dizzy scored, I think you started to get that feeling back. The atmosphere against Denmark for the last game was decent as well. When Doherty scored, the roar again. The Georgia game when Howard scored the free kick. So there was games there where there was glimpses of what we could do in terms of atmosphere and getting the fans.
And just to add to that, Paul, as well, you know, to be fair, it shows the resilience of the Irish fans. After, I remember we went to Tbilisi, was needing 3 points to qualify, and we had a 0-0 draw. And I remember that was extremely disheartening. I remember watching that and thinking that could have been our missed opportunity. But to show the Irish fans come back and, you know, like you say, against Switzerland and Denmark, show what they're made of, you know, never give up. And, you know, I know you don't want things to be forgotten straight away. But, you know, it is important to put bad games like that behind us. And I think we did that in this campaign. You know, we hadn't many bad results. Any disappointing result was put behind, move on to the next game, treat it as the next challenge. You know, I think
but people forget that Denmark went to Georgia and drew as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
Georgia are an improving nation. We saw it with Armenia a years back. Armenia used to be whipping boys, and they started getting results off people. And Georgia beat Scotland in the last campaign that we were in with them. So we just have a quick, interesting question here. I'm just going to say my piece on it, and if you want to trip it afterwards, people saying League of Ireland players going to get into the national team. They're saying Jack Byrne, Patrick Hoban, McAneff, Duffy, and Mandrew. While I do think that players don't necessarily have to leave the league to get into the national team, I don't think people should get their hopes up for a League of Ireland 11 or anything like that. Players will still have to earn their place, and I think that it'll be easiest to earn the place outside the League of Ireland. I can't see Kenny including more than probably Michael Duffy and Jack Byrne at a very maximum in his next Ireland squad, and maybe a keeper.
Maybe Talbot as well.
Yeah, maybe Talbot as a keeper, but people shouldn't be. I can't see Patrick Hoban. I can't see McAneff, and I don't really. Mandrew in a couple of years, but that'll be down to what he does at Bowes, and if he moves on, he's not at the level yet to get in it. Who's he getting in ahead of? I can't see him getting ahead of anyone in the squad.
Well, he doesn't get in ahead of anyone in the 21s yet, so I think maybe his stint with the 21s might not be a bad shout, and then let him. He has the ability and the potential to obviously play for Ireland in the future. But with Byrne, I think Byrne will still remain within the squad. I don't see him getting left out of there. He brings something different to the team, whether he stays or not.
Oh, that was close.
And Given's been signaling to go off as well. So if that had nestled into the corner, I don't know how much of a dive he would have been making for it.
Yeah.
We're at the 40-minute mark for anyone wondering. It's still 0-0 coming up to half time, and I think just before half time, Shea Given goes off for Darren Randolph.
Yeah, right. And this is Darren Randolph's debut.
It's his competitive. I had a look on my phone. It's his competitive debut. Before this game, he played 45 minutes in a 4-1 win against Oman, and he played 16 minutes in a 2-0 defeat against Spain. And he'd been on a series of squads and on the bench a couple of times. But it's his first competitive appearance for Ireland, coming off the bench against the world champions.
Yeah, this is where this season I think he was making his name at West Ham, and he was doing all right.
I remember him being talked about when he was at Motherwell, and he'd been at Birmingham before that, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And he was.
He went from Motherwell to Birmingham.
Yeah, sorry. So Birmingham. Also, he'd been, and he made his name.
Shouts going off now.
Given's finished. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Sorry, Cian, go on.
it's a huge bit of pressure for Randolph, and for the goalkeeper, he's replacing a massive. I'm not going to say. I'll say a massive pair of gloves to put his hands into, and he's done it. It's ridiculous how well he's just become Ireland's first choice keeper after Shay Given, who was Ireland's keeper for nearly 20 years.
Yeah, he's settled in so well.
Was in.
Yeah, actually, you're right. David Ford, Given came back. Did he? Is it off the kick?
Oh,
I mean that's what happens when you're an older keeper, I suppose, or an older player at all. Is you're going to start getting muscle injuries like that.
Yeah, well, with Randolph, there was no indication. As I spoke to him, obviously, we did an interview with him. I was only talking to him like a week and a half ago. He was actually, for anyone watching, he was actually meant to jump in on this video, but he couldn't get the time to do it. Here he is now. Yeah,
here he comes.
So, Paul, genuinely for a second, I thought you meant here he comes onto the video. My poor little heart.
Imagine.
But he basically, David Ford's on the bench.
David Ford.
He's not going on.
Oh, he looked disappointed.
But this was a real, like, he said he hadn't any time to think about anything. He had to just get warmed up, get out there, and just he's coming on against the world champions for his debut. It's madness, like. And obviously, we'll talk more about his performance as it goes on, or his debut as it goes on. But at that, as you said, he never lost his place after that. He was #1 choice the whole way, still is now by a long stretch. You know, you don't look at any of the keepers now and think they can even challenge him if they came into the squad properly.
I'm looking here again, and obviously he played 90 minutes in the game against Poland. He played 180 in the playoff, and he played all the games in the Euros. So, and he's continued to be our first choice keeper and do an amazing job. I haven't seen him make a mistake, to be honest.
Yeah, look, he's been solid and whatever about things that have happened with West Ham and so on. He's always been solid for Ireland. And I suppose when I talk about the team now, he's a leader. Like, he brings a lot of calmness to the defence. Yeah. He's a big reason behind our decent record. You know, our defensive record.
Oh, he makes some unbelievable saves. He had the one against France in the Euros, the free kick that was, if he stood still, that was going to be a world-class free kick, but he read it perfectly and just caught it. It was, he's just such a safe pair of hands.
Yeah, and you know, the last few games there.
Sorry,
I was just going to say, you know, in the Denmark game, the Switzerland game, myself and Cian and another bunny of ours, Johnny, we were just behind the goal and behind Randolph's goal, like, you know, and it's just them small things that you see. I know you can kind of see the same thing on television, but when you're there behind him, you know, you see the movement he's making and them small little saves, you know, a foot here, a hand there. You know, when you're up close to the action, it just makes such a difference. You know, you can see all these small little things that make such a huge difference. You know,
100%.
He seems like I don't know, Paul, you've spoken to him, but he seems like a quiet fella, reasonably, but he's very vocal with his defence, and he's very good communicating with him. But he's not. Some keepers he's shouting and roaring. He's very clear, direct, and just calm with his defence and making sure that they know what they're doing. I think the mix of him, Duffy, Egan, Coleman, Stevens, it's just such a really excellent foundation. I can't think of a better Ireland defence that I've seen. Like, you know, John O'Shea, for all his caps and things, was liable the very odd time for a Rick, and I just don't see it in the current defence. It's good to see.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Yeah,
Darren's, like, it's funny because obviously talking to him or whatever, he's the soundest lad ever. But when there's the group there, the standings. So we were sitting third there at that time on 16 points, and Poland and Germany were ahead of us.
And am I right in saying the next game that we played was away to Poland? So had we beaten Poland, we would have gone into the automatic spots. Obviously, we were guaranteed a playoff after this game, if I'm right.
Can't remember that far back.
I think this was the second last game.
I think you're right, though.
Scotland had lost to Georgia and drawn with Poland, having beaten us in Scotland, wasn't it? Sean Maloney scored that sickener.
Right bit of battling there by Daryl Murphy. Go on, Brady. Just overran it. Was it Wezzo or Brady?
I think it was Brady, number 19. Wezzo did the slide there.
And again, Wezzo flying into the tackles. Go on, Wezzo.
Wezzo getting stuck in.
Love that. That's what the current team need more of. More of that bite.
Yeah. I think that's one thing Wes was never afraid of either. You know, he was never afraid to get stuck in. Like you say, he wasn't faced by facing world champions or anyone. You know, he did his thing.
Yeah. Well, I'd imagine he always played as an underdog because he was always with Norwich. You know, he always played as an underdog unless he was in the Championship when he was in the Premier League. At that time, I think Brady was playing for Norwich or Hull.
Yeah, Brady was he at Burnley by now or not?
No, he would have been at Hull or Norwich, I think.
Yeah, I feel like they've been there for years, but I think Hendrick only made the move to Burnley after the Euros, had he?
Yeah, after the Euros he did.
So Brady and Hendrick, I know they moved a similar time.
So Hendrick's playing for Derby at the time in the Championship, I think.
Hendrick
went
was
for
first
well
off the scene in this qualifying campaign. Didn't he have a fantastic?
Look at that though by Wezzo, unreal.
Unbelievable. Didn't Hendricks have like an unbelievable assist? Was it against Georgia for Johnny Walters? Was that this campaign? Hendrick, he had like almost like Berbatov.
Yeah, against he went by 2 or 3 players and just cut it back.
That was against Gibraltar, was it? Away to Gibraltar.
I think it was. Was it?
No, it was a home game.
Was it not against Georgia in a narrow win? And Walters got.
No, Coleman scored that, didn't he?
I can't remember, but I remember he was.
McGeady scored the 2 away.
Yeah, that was it.
One last. Okay.
I think it might have been. It wasn't Bosnia.
Could it have been Poland?
Don't think so, because Long scored at home to Poland, unless it was away. He went by 2 or 3 players and put it into Walters.
For Walters, and Walters kind of bundled it in.
Yeah.
Kind of like O'Shea's against Germany that time. A bit of an unorthodox finish.
Similar. Well, here, what are we going to do for the half time? So we got to make sure that we have it on the same.
Yeah, we can. Good save from Darren.
Yeah.
So it's going to go to the half time now in a couple of seconds. So we need to make sure that we're on the same.
What did we say? 1:13:10. I think we said, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Like that. I'm going to wait till half time blows up first.
Yeah, I have it at 1:13:12 now, so I can click that whenever you get to 1:13 and that whenever you get to that time.
Because mine's going to be a couple of seconds behind.
Yeah, there's no worries. We have a good question here then coming up afterwards once we're into the second half.
Right, 1:13.
I'm paused on 1:13:12 whenever you're ready.
Is that when they're coming out?
Yeah.
Well, I think O'Shea has his back to me.
Yeah, I have a pause there too.
Yeah, they're coming out now. O'Shea's turning around and giving out to people.
Yeah. Richard Keogh.
They're coming back out. Ole is coming on in the background.
Yeah. I'm at 1:13:20 something now anyway. So all the boys are coming out. It's just Pan McCarthy's. It's on McCarthy now. James McCarthy did not get enough credit for this match either, I don't think.
My screen's on Wezzo now.
I'm slightly behind, so I'll try and skip forward if I can.
We'll really shake them up when we win the World Cup.
Mine is on the crowd now. It's panning over the crowd with their flags.
Your man's dancing around with the flag in his hand, scarf in his hand.
I think I'm about a second behind you, which I'm happy enough with.
Well, they haven't kicked off yet. The second half, they're going towards the ball now, about to touch the ball.
Yeah.
And now it's on the German players. So
Jackie, are you good?
I am.
So they're about to tip off Hendrick and Brady in the second half.
So we'll just go to the question there. Just we have. So I'll go with Celtic Warrior. He asks, "Who's your Irish player of the season?" For him, it's Egan. I'd probably say Enda Stevens ahead of Egan in terms of his stats.
Doherty,
fantastic. Doherty's great. I'd go with Enda Stevens though.
I'll go with Egan just because I did an interview with him and he's a legend, and I just like to see him do well because he's just such a nice guy. He's never really lost that human nature about him, I suppose. You know, he's Premier League player, but he's very humble as well at the same time. But by right, he is where he is from hard work, and I just love that. So to see him and this kind of football journey he's been on, and the way he's had to do it, you know, losing his dad very, very young. His dad actually, funny enough, died on the same day as my dad. I only found out that the other day. Yeah, so it's strange enough that happened, but it was a mad coincidence. So we were messaging each other, just, you know, like that. He's a great man, and obviously when you look at the defensive record of Sheffield United this season, I think they're the third in the standings for clean sheets behind Liverpool and Burnley. So for me, I think for a team that just came up and just getting used to the Premier League, I think that's brilliant. And yeah, that's why I'm just going to go for Egan, and he's captain of Ireland as well. So it kind of overlapped really, didn't it?
Yeah, I'll go with Enda Stevens for many of the same reasons. I just think he's had a few more standout moments this season, scoring some great goals in the Premier League. And I think similar enough to Egan, he's kind of been through the school of hard knocks in terms of football career. He's been passed around the place and found a nice home at Sheffield United. So it's good to see him doing well in the Premier League.
Yeah. Well, I'd agree with you. I like Enda as a player. I used to play left back for a number of years, so I always, used to be obsessed with fullbacks. I love fullbacks. Well, for this one, I'm going to give it to Egan at centre half because I just think that's such an important position. But Enda, I mean, it's a very, very, very narrow margin that I'm putting himself, Doherty, and Stevens on.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Jack? Any other ones?
Well, I'd agree with you with Sheffield United, lads. I find it very hard to pick between the two of them. But I think, just looking aside from this season, I think Conor Horan deserves great credit. As Paul was talking to him the other day, he got a tweet when he was playing, obviously he moved through Barnsley and stuff like that, and he got a tweet saying he'd never play in the Premier League. And I think, his dedication, his training, he never gave up on it. And, a man who stuck with it like that, I think he deserves great credit. And, to still be in around the Villa team, obviously I couldn't disagree with Egan and Stevens for player of the season, but I think he's a man who probably doesn't get as much credit as he should, Conor Horan.
Probably hasn't played enough though this season.
That's the only thing. Yeah,
he scored that, but I think he's Newcastle, didn't he?
And Norwich, was it?
Yeah.
He scored the 5-1 against Norwich, and he got an assist. He won a penalty and scored. He was unreal.
We've a few questions. People asking who've only just tuned in how we're watching this. We are watching our own copies of this game. How we can't share it or show it for legal reasons. If you can find it yourselves, I have no idea where to find it. I just got it sent to me. So,
Killian M2 on Twitter.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, we just have a full stream of the game without commentary. It's just a match. I think it's a UEFA stream.
That's it, James McCarthy bullying that German midfield.
I would be interested to look back and see who got man of the match for this game, because McCarthy is the standout for me. I know Wes has been good, but McCarthy, it's what you don't see with McCarthy. The things like this you don't notice it almost. He was unbelievable in this game. I'll have a good match.
But a lot. Do you know what I think it might come down to as well? Is a lot of people go to these matches drunk and just remember the goals because of the celebrations. But I've no objections to that. There's no problem with that at all. We've all done it. But then they probably go back and hear what Dunphy's been saying or whatever, and the headline, and so they're automatically assuming what they're saying is, oh well, he didn't play good and he didn't do that, even though he did. That's not always going to be the case. People who are at the match and remember are obviously going to have their own opinions and think that he done well or bad or whatever. But you can see clearly he's put himself about here, and the Germans are not liking playing against him at all.
No. RTE gave it to Wes Hoolahan and BBC gave it to Shane Long. I think the BBC gave it to Shane Long, maybe out of laziness. It doesn't seem to. He didn't even start the game. He scored a goal, obviously, but I'd probably have a lot of players out of Shane Long, and I wouldn't give it to Wes out of. If you're giving it to a forward player, they have to have either set up or scored a goal for me. And in such a strong defensive performance, I'd have to. I know I haven't watched the full match yet, but I'm surprised James McCarthy didn't get more of a nod. But like you say, Paul, I think you're right in that people just jump on the bandwagon because they mightn't necessarily remember the game.
They just have in his Ireland career as a whole. I think as well. I think there he is winning the ball where he lost, didn't he? I think people don't realise. He had a really good connection with James Coleman from playing with Everton in Ireland, and they really complemented each other well as well when they played together, and they're obviously good mates from playing together at Everton. So I think if the two of them were back in the team as well, it would also bring back a bit of symmetry in that sense too, in terms of the team balance. Which at this time, I think McCarthy was extremely underrated. And when he was at Everton, he was probably my favourite player at the time, just for what he did. He just mopped up everything for all the other players to be able to go and do what they did. And you don't, unless you, how would I put it? Because I'd be watching my Everton every week, I'd be watching them intensely, whereas more so as, say, you guys be watching him at Everton, you wouldn't really be, looking at him or focusing on the game more so. Whereas I would, and I'd be watching him more so at Everton week in, week out. So I knew what he could bring to the team with Ireland, whereas I don't think a lot of people did. I think it's funny how times have kind of moved on a little bit, because I remember going to a thing before I went to Canada. Obviously, I was saying I was watching this in Canada, but McCarthy, Coleman, and James McLean came over for there was like a thing in Lifestyle Sports on Grafton Street, and Coleman and McCarthy were there, and everyone was getting pictures with them. And James McLean was just sitting there, and no one wanted to go near him. He was playing, I think, he might have been playing at West Brom in the Championship at the time, and nobody wanted to know him. And I just thought that was mad, because he go on with his popularity since then. The Euros, and then scoring goals in the qualifying after that for the World Cup. And his popularity went through the roof, didn't it? But I remember nobody wanted to know him.
It shows what a fickle game the sport can be. Like, one day he's a nobody, and then to people consider him a nobody. And the next day he's one of the, probably, he's launching kits, he's selling jerseys for the FA. Strange how these things go.
Yeah.
Not bullying by John Malthus.
Paul, you might have more of an insight into this than me, because someone's asked, what country is Michael Duffy playing for, North or Republic?
Ireland.
I was under the impression he rejected a Northern Irish call-up because he wanted to play for the Republic, so it's good to get a bit of clarity.
I did an interview with him before the season started. Go watch it. Tell him.
Daniel Crowley, Paul wants you to watch this interview.
And then tell him that he talked about it in the interview.
He talks about it. That's good. But I suppose he can hear you as much as he can hear me, so I know I am telling them.
Here, lads, I was just thinking there, as regards the Sheffield United crowd, that's bound to help Ireland in the long run. That bit of chemistry. Having all them lads playing week in, week out, and then come to the national team, they're all buddies. A bit like before we were saying Hendrick and Brady at Burnley. We almost have that, but on a larger scale now. We have. Yeah.
But they weren't playing up early together, but they grew up. They're best mates.
Yeah.
Women's later.
That McCarthy again.
No, I'd agree, and I do think the one kind of difference between the Brady and Hendrick thing is they're not playing as regularly, but when you've got two lads who form the spine of that Sheffield United team and are playing a style that's not exactly the same as Kenny's, but is a bit more expansive. Keogh's lost his headband, but when they're playing a style that's a bit more expansive and suited to Kenny. I know, Paul, you were saying that in the last video that the lads, Kenny only has a certain amount of time with the lads, and we can't have too high expectations. But he's got kind of a platform of this kind of gegenpress. You see it at Southampton when you got Obafemi and Long. You see it at Wolves with Doherty, and you see it at Sheffield United with the other two boys.
Oh.
And it'll be a good spine to build the team around.
That was a good chance there for Shirley.
Very good chance. Was he at Chelsea at the time?
Or else Dortmund. That was a lovely little chop back though. Great ball. Great ball. Randolph was never really under pressure. There's that. Marco Royce just turned Christie inside out with that turn.
That's what he does so well. Like, he's so agile on the wing, his pace, and look, he just turns Christie no bother and just swings.
And the ball is just effortless. He just plays a perfect ball, and Shirley has to do better with that, really.
I used to shit myself watching us come up against Marco Royce. Because wasn't he involved in the game when they beat us 6-1?
I was about to say, I think he was one of the lads who absolutely took us part. It was kind of a young German team that time that beat us 6-1. That was before the World Cup they won, wasn't it? That was 2014. The qualifiers.
Yeah. Or 13. It was this game.
Yeah, but it was the same. It was the qualifying that we were one goal better than Brazil at least.
Yeah, that's true. But they were just unbelievable. So we're going into this game going, oh my God, these are so good. But we weren't terrible. We knew we had a team that would put in a performance and were capable of a big result. And I think Irish teams are always capable of getting that one result. I remember that Denmark game when we played at home. I only remember getting that one chance that they did score.
Mm-hmm.
That was a decent performance, I think.
I also think if you compare this to the other result we got, the Italy one, the 2-2, obviously it's much younger. I don't remember the game tactically, but that was a much poorer Italy side. I know they were world champions, but they went on to have a very poor Euro, or not Euro 2012. Sorry, they went on to have a very poor time after that. Whereas this Germany side went on. Obviously, they've just come from World Cup champions. They had a good Euro 2016. I know they had a poor World Cup, but they were playing at the top of their game, and Ireland went and really bullied them.
Yeah. But we had characters in the team that were able to put it up to them and bully them. Like, we've already got in, but I don't want to keep going back into them. But we had good characters. By the way, we never really touched on it, but that jersey is beautiful.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's a lovely jersey.
I like the Umbro gear.
Yeah, it was always a classy jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the collar. It was just real simple but beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Neuer kicking the ball out of play.
The jersey, the time in the Nations League is probably my favourite one, the away one. I like the black one with the green line across the top of it. It's standout for me because you don't often see Ireland jerseys that aren't just white. The away ones are usually just a white jersey. Sometimes
What Nations League one?
Not the Nations League, sorry, the Nations Cup. That
Carling Nations.
That one, yeah.
Oh, Scotland are after going 2-1 up against Poland. Fletcher.
Not good. Not good for us.
No.
I don't know if we'll qualify for the Euros, but that's
not yet.
We could be lined up for a playoff here.
You were saying before I was saying about Marco Royce there, you were saying something. I didn't mean to put you off. Can you remember what you were saying?
No, totally gone. But I was going to say there that if people want to jump into the comments and suggest other games we should watch back, it would be handy because we have our own ideas. But if someone has a standout game that we maybe haven't thought about, feel free to bop it in because we'll probably do this again. It might be the three of us exactly, but there are definitely people doing watch backs.
Yeah.
Skips past. I get it straight away.
I'd love to watch a match from the 2002 or before my time to see what Ireland used to be like. People rave about McCarthy.
2002, we were unbelievable.
I'd love to watch one of those games back.
Yeah.
Even though
we're certainly holding our own here. I know we're kind of under it, but we don't show any signs of breaking really.
It's a good performance. It's not like they're all over us and we robbed a goal. We're
well drilled, like.
It's not like we're backs to the wall either. There is Ireland are getting their time on the ball. It's not like one of those dominant games that you'd see Barcelona have, where you get 70-odd% possession. I think the game ended with Ireland having about a third of the ball, which isn't good, but it's not sheer domination either.
No, to be fair. Oh, great save, Randolph.
I think it was offside call, was it?
Was it?
The one thing I will say is Germany haven't had a clear-cut chance that is forced to save. You know what I mean? Like they had the Schürrle chance that went over the bar. They haven't really forced, one of these Randolph or even given a wonder save out of it,
Yeah, that was only the first one that we've kind of seen him had to, and that
they've gotten in behind and they've missed, but they haven't had a good one.
Gonna have a serious creak in my neck after this game.
David O'Mahony reckons one of the Euros ones maybe. I'd be interested to watch the Belgium game back. I think we were. I wouldn't torture myself. Sweden. I'd be interested in my own time. To watch the Belgium game back and see how robbed we were for that penalty again. But no, the Sweden game was good. Obviously, the Italy game, the France game, we were robbed as well.
Yeah, at times. I was watching that in Thailand.
They had the extra week rest on us nearly, didn't they? They had nearly 5 days extra rest as hosts. But then also Celtic Warrior comes back and says Ireland versus Germany 2002 or Spain.
I'd loved it. If we can get it, we will.
I'd be open to watching that.
Good to get maybe Gary Spain onto that. Not just because of his name, but he'd probably have.
He would have been there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. David O'Mahony says Swedish game.
Yeah, Gary Spain has been. It's funny because people try to slag me or tease me, say, "Oh, he doesn't go to away games or anything like that." Even though it was at the Wales game, but anyway, Gary Spain's been at every game. So when people go, "Oh, well, Irish Football Fan TV, they don't go to away games," it's a bit stupid to be saying that. If that's your only kind of thing to be jibing at, Gary Spain was at games in 02, World Cup 94, I think 1990. Gary Spain has seen and done it all. So to go back and watch games with him was class.
Especially when you're over there, you probably get little insights. When I was at the 2016 Euros, you hear things, from the camp that aren't really reported as well. Nothing scandalous, but you feel it almost as a part of a little subculture of Irish football when you're at these tournaments, because you're in a pub and you hear a fella saying, "Oh, I saw this on WhatsApp out of the camp," and it's just something small, a little video of them training, lads who've gone to get photos. It's nice. It's a little it's a little extra level of fandom. The goal must be coming up fairly soon. I can't remember when it was.
Great. Good little play there by Walters and Hendrick.
Very good. Yeah.
Look at McCarthy. See the way he's like a little terrier. He is.
He's full of beans. For a lad with injuries, he's just so full of beans.
And look at this on the hour match.
That's why he gets injured though, kid.
Yeah, he's not afraid to throw himself into things.
That's why he gets injured though. I think Allardyce said it before. Said if he was a bit less gung ho, he wouldn't get as injured as much. But when he got injured with the leg break, he was taking a shot, and Rondon kicked him.
I remember that. Very bad.
Unfortunately, I know. I'm laughing, but I'm not actually laughing at him. I'm just laughing kind of at that he was taking the shot.
Yeah.
Oh, lucky. Cyrus Christie's done well in this game.
He has, to be fair. He hasn't been bad. But like looking at this performance, it's very hard to put James McCarthy down. Like, looking at, I won't say he should be the first name in the team sheet, but looking at this, it's like it's very hard to give out about anything he's done here.
Absolutely.
He's man of the match.
It's evident to see what we've been missing out without him.
Yeah, without a doubt, and that's probably key going forward as well. If we have someone like him in midfield, pulling the strings in midfield, we probably won't go too far wrong.
I yearn for the days of Keith Andrews and Glenn Whelan, wasn't it? And then McCarthy coming in as a young fella, Trapattoni's time. But then Trapattoni started playing Paul Green every game, and I remember that was the downfall of his time.
Keith Andrews was very good, I thought.
He just kind of disappeared at the end of Trapattoni. Trapattoni would have very seemed to be very hot and cold with certain players. 1 week Kevin Foley was the next big thing, and the next week he wasn't in the squads. I remember he'd fall. He liked Fahy, yeah. He'd have fallen out with nearly every. I'd say you could name an 11 of players Trapattoni had fallen out with, but
Andy Reid.
Yeah, I think Shane Long and Kevin Doyle both. Kevin Doyle, I said it before. I don't know if I said it on the stream, but Kevin Doyle on the sus bench for this match. I didn't realise he was still in.
Oh, Wezzo.
I thought this was it. I thought that was the goal.
Oh. Don't remember
Look at
that
this
chance.
again.
Darryl Murphy on his left foot on the edge of the box.
He did something very similar. Oh no, it was Hendrick who did something very similar against Italy in the Euros.
That was the one that after that shot we thought it was gone. When that shot went by, we were thinking that's our chance finished.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
Also, the Italy game to watch back as well if you can get it.
Absolutely, I'd 100% be up for that. I was
That'd be
at it
class.
as well.
Oh, it went well wide that chance.
It flashed wide, we'll say.
Oh. The other angle
it looked closer on the normal play.
Yeah.
It did look like it was just over. Oh man.
Oh, who got roasted there? Stephen Hunt Award.
Committing to.
Oh, Walters! Look at that calmness by Walters. Oh, Wes. Was that Brady? Brady was a quality player around this time. Don't forget, it wasn't long after this. He scored the goal in the playoff against Bosnia.
Yeah, this was around.
And then the goal against Italy, and then the goal against France as well. Yeah, he had a good little purple patch.
It was around his prime. He went through a phase in that kind of year or so of being unbelievable. Like, that was probably the best time for his career, to be honest.
And then he has fallen off a cliff almost for Ireland.
Injuries, I think, as well. Though.
Yeah. And he doesn't get a regular run for Burnley either.
Here, Stephen Hunt's after going down injured now. Here's Shane Long.
What's Stephen Hunt? When was Stephen Hunt last played?
Stephen Ward. Sorry, you have Stephen Hunt in my head from earlier.
Oh, here he comes.
Stephen Hunt injuries for Ireland, huh?
Shane Long's coming on for Darryl Murphy. The goal shouldn't be long from here because I remember Darren Randolph talking about Stephen Ward being injured and getting treated. Yeah. So I'd say no, not too far away now. Absolute scenes. Wardy's back on there. He's there.
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
He's walking it off. Yeah.
We were lucky. The same time with Randolph, we were lucky that Enda Stevens came in at the time. He has, because there's been I can't think. We haven't had a settled left back for. I know Brady played there a lot. Ward, even Kevin Kilban going back further. Like, it's been a long time since we had a solid, settled, natural left back in the Ireland squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as well as that, Ward was a striker. Mick McCarthy made him a left back.
Yeah, I remember him for Wolves. He was playing up front for a while, and he went back left back.
Oh, good tackle.
He's very two-footed,
That's a
isn't he?
great ball.
Who was that? That was Brady. Great challenge.
Ward is
keen.
very,
What do you think?
I was saying Ward's very two-footed. I know that as a player. He's got a good left and a right peg on him. I think he's actually naturally more right-footed, more inclined to play on his right foot, but he's a good left foot.
Yeah, I don't remember him doing too much on his right foot, to be honest.
Is Ward? Was he Bose? He came through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mick McCarthy, fairly sure, brought him through and moved him from a striker to a left back. I think Ward went through a kind of patch where he had to kind of rebuild his career, because there was a time I think he got relegated with Wolves, wasn't really getting a look in, and then he went to Burnley, and I remember Joey Barton saying when he went to Burnley that he was the reason that they went up. He just came in, played left back, and he was class good, and then he came up. So I think, I'm not sure at that particular time if he's in the Premier League now or not, but he was a key part to getting them back up to the Premier League. Oh, great tackle! That Richard Keogh.
Very quick recovery. Was it Keogh or was it? I think it was O'Shea. Keogh was tracking him back.
Is Jack behind us on the thing? Is he?
Not too sure. I'm slightly behind you, but
Yeah, I'm a small bit behind you, I think.
it's not the end of the
Jump a couple of seconds ahead of me if you want.
They just missed that
just
close chance there. Just went wide of the post.
Oh no, you're not too far behind. So the cross there, you just saw the cross in going wide of Randolph. I'd say
I'm at the replay, lads.
Yeah, I'm just at the replay as well.
I'm at the replay now as well. Yeah.
I'd say there's only a matter of 2 or 3 seconds between us. It's not the end of the
Yeah.
world. We'll only probably mess it up further if we stop.
Yeah, I'll probably end up.
Is there any comments?
Not in a while. We had
Ward's down injured again.
We had a bit of I don't know if this is against our. It's always good when the minnows win against the Giants, is what we got from someone here. But well, yeah, I don't know last time Minnow beat Ireland, the Giants that are Ireland, but someone coming in again. Just to be clear, we are watching. We got a copy sent to us of this match. We can't show it obviously, and we don't have anywhere to share it with you. But we're watching it. What would you say the fella's name was, Paul? Who has the copies of the game?
Killian M2.
Yeah, on Twitter he has a live streams of a couple of games.
He has uploads on his YouTube as well.
Oh, he's on YouTube as well. Some of the less, I think some of the friendlies and things in the older games.
Yeah, but not this one.
Moyler coming on for,
Corkman, David Moyler.
So Ward's still getting treated here. So I remember distinctly, Moyler plays a key role in the goal, so he must not be far away now.
I think around the 70th minute.
Yeah.
Well, we'll soon see.
Is it from here?
No.
No, because the ball is played back to him.
Oh yeah.
I think Hendrick loses it here. Or Walters, is it? It goes down. Oh, here we go. Moyler wins it back. Gets it back to Randolph. Sweeps it to his right foot. Long ball up. Jonathan Walters is coming back from an off-side position. Shane Logg's in! Yes! 1-0 Ireland. Shane Logg.
Oh, what
Look
a take it was. Like, after the first touch, the finish was just beautiful.
Past the best goalie in the world at the time too.
Oh man. Oh, but I was out like
Yeah.
Oh,
look at the scenes.
Oh,
limbs.
brilliant.
Absolute limbs.
That's
I tell you,
brilliant.
the Germans weren't happy in the bar when I was basically throwing drink all over them.
Yeah, I was throwing coke all over myself. Right now, I'm wiping coke out of my eyes. His first touch he's lucky off that it doesn't get out of his control. Coming into for the box, but it's such a good finish to cover off.
See John Walters in that goal. I don't think people realise the.
He's so intelligent.
Part he played there, coming back from the offside position, because he kind of unsettled the Germans.
He's so lucky with that touch off his shin that it doesn't get away from him. But he does so well off finish. Not taking anything away from him, but
finish to the far post is beautiful.
Yeah, right into it hits the camera.
Just in front of
The
the South
German
Stand.
defenders, it's the most clear thing in a game of football is don't let it bounce, and they're so poor off it.
Yeah, they really should have
Well,
done
as I
better.
said, I think Walters really makes the impact there. How many people are watching us?
We've got 10 according to this thing here now in watching us, but we've marked me in here in the comments saying his father fell down 2 rows into about 5 people trying to grab him off the ground. I'd say he wasn't the only one. I think we've all been there in early games.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he's doing okay now.
Mark asking where we at the game. Paul you said you were in Canada. Jack was at home. I was at the game. I was up in the family section, family enclosure.
I was living in Canada, yeah, at the time. I was living in a ski town.
Paul was
Oh,
watching with a load of Germans.
yeah. Well, in the place we were at, it was in Canada and the States. There's always like wing nights or wing days, where they have wings on special. And whatever day this fell on, it was a midweek game, wasn't it?
I think it was Thursday night.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Thursday, yeah. I think that was the wing night, so we went in there, got the wings, got a few pints in, and whatever, enjoying ourselves. And there was a load of Germans in there, and I don't know why, because it wasn't like, it was a small ski town. And I don't even know how we managed to get the game on the telly, to be honest with you. But it was on like TSN or one of those channels. So we were absolutely delighted, me and my mate at the time, both obviously Irish. And yeah, just sitting there having points, enjoying this game. Really didn't expect to get obviously the win, but you know, watching the performance here, we always knew, as I said, we always play ourselves within a chance of, especially I always felt at the Aviva, and I always still do, that no matter how bad people say our team is, we are always capable of a joint killing or big performance.
Yeah, no matter who's in front of us.
The atmosphere that builds in the stadium is brilliant. I'm not an architect, but I can imagine it's designed to echo, and you can really feel it.
Yeah, it's just the camera keeps flashing to James McCarthy. Just gotta have to say how good he's been in this game.
Yeah. Paul, we have a quick one here for you. Someone saying it's one of the best games ever been at, but they have a personal highlight here. If you want to give it a quick read, it was Liverpool Everton. Origi's last-minute winner last year was his favourite.
Pickford.
Pickford.
No comment.
Paul's buddy Pickford.
One of his better nights.
Yeah.
No comment.
I remember being at this game, and if you told me we scored in the first minute, it felt like it. We were sitting there. I had my head in my hands for the last 20 minutes of the game. I don't know how people were jumping around the place. I couldn't hardly watch. I know the Germans didn't really show them, like they weren't pushing hard, because I think they had a home game against Georgia to qualify, that they had to win, or was it even just to top the group. So they weren't particularly in need of points, but you never want to lose a game, obviously.
I think they were playing to win. We were I just think that we as I said, we took our chance so far in the game. Because it'd be interesting to see the other chances that they have, or we have.
I know there was a few late chances.
Well done, Cyrus.
I for people who don't remember, because I didn't, the table as it stood popped up there, and because Scotland were beating Poland, Ireland were, as it stood at this moment of the game, in second place in the group. I think that changed. I think Poland got a late equalizer, and then they beat us in Poland to go finish second. Yeah. I genuinely forgot how close we were to not needing a playoff. And I remember at the time as well, Bosnia were a very good, strong side, and we went and properly beat them over 2 legs. You know, it wasn't we put the game to them and gave them a good game.
They had Dzeko and Pjanic.
Yeah.
And Begovic.
And they
Begovic.
Yeah, they had a proper team. Like a much, not better, on paper, a much better team than us. We played them off the park, really, in the Aviva, for sure. And gave them a good game in Bosnia, which was I know it was a bizarre game, but we gave them a very good game.
I thought it was funny when Darren Randolph said that thing about the goal, not actually knowing that we scored. Yeah. And Seamus Golden ran back through all the fog and celebrated with him. That's bad.
I was just going to say that to you there, actually. Yeah, that's mad that he hadn't seen it. Yeah. It was fantastic.
Well, you could hardly see it in the telly. You could. I remember it was at Hamilton on the commentary saying, "Have we scored? We have." You know, it was we couldn't see it. And when the equalizer went in, I didn't. You couldn't see it. You were just taking his word for it again, and you couldn't see it at all.
Yeah, well, that was we were watching again in Canada. We were watching that game, and I just remember being like, "Has it gone in? Has it gone in?" And then obviously the celebrations that came. Who's that Moyler? dragging the ref out of the way. Oh,
I think Meyler's standout moment in the Ireland shirt, was a good player for Ireland, was the Austria away game in the next campaign when he won the ball back from McLean's goal.
he was good against Wales.
He was.
McLean scored as well.
He was a good
He
player. He got
captained Ireland that
a
night,
nice
didn't he?
long career as well, and he had.
It wasn't a very nice score to me, so I just don't like him.
Hopefully, he's not watching. Probably open a few packs.
But what was I going to say? Tony Kroos is playing as well. Let's not forget, boys.
Yeah, it's a proper German team, and we're giving it their all.
With that Bosnia game though, like Randolph said that he didn't even know when they were coming into his half, he had to look over to the bench to signal that they were coming into our half because he couldn't see.
That's incredible, like.
Because I think the rule is if the ref can see the four corner flags from the centre circle, but that doesn't count for the goalkeeper hardly being able to see the halfway line, you know.
Yeah, well, I just think it's funny, you know. You can picture all the lads up in the corner. You've seen the pictures of Robbie Brady celebrating on his knees, and then you can just picture Seamus Coleman jumping on top of Darren Randolph down the other end, celebrating for themselves.
That's probably the second worst Ireland match in terms of quality of the game. Obviously, the fact we got a point, or not a point, we didn't get a point.
Oh, how did he miss that?
That's the Muller miss, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, someone said he was paid off earlier on for that miss. It wouldn't surprise you with how poor the finish is. He's got to put that away. But no, just with the Bosnia game, I think the quality of that game was poor. But the only one, the standout game, the Gibraltar away match for this campaign was the worst 90 minutes.
Yeah, if he hadn't scored that would have been more or less fault.
Yeah,
should have put it just
he slipped. He was on his ass
winning that ball. Normally he would.
Yeah.
I by the way, I like Meyler as a player. I just didn't really like him as a human.
There's no hassle. I'll hold it against you.
Going back to that Gibraltar game, like the conditions were terrible for that. Like the pitch is right beside the airport, isn't it? There's supposed to be a terrible like cross pitch wind and everything.
Doesn't excuse
not take away from
Gibraltar. Yeah. I think the last time we played Gibraltar, they played in Spain because they didn't actually have a pitch. Wasn't that the case? They didn't have a pitch that was up to standard.
Yeah.
What's that, sorry?
Just we were talking about the Gibraltar game this campaign. I was saying that the last time the pitch, Jack said the pitch that we played him on this time was so poor. I think the time we played him under O'Neill away and beat them 4-0, we had to play him in Spain, didn't they? Because they didn't have a up to standard pitch within Gibraltar.
Yeah. Was that when Danny Higginbottom was playing for them?
Yeah, he'd come in for the first campaign, and the lad from Portsmouth as well. Was it Liam Walker was playing too?
Yeah.
I was looking at that game actually, and Wezo was unbelievable in the games against Gibraltar. Just the highlights came up the other day on Facebook.
I watched back to 7-0. That was I'm lucky that my birthday falls during the international calendar. The odd time there's a match on it. Usually they're not very good. The 5-2 against Cyprus was the night of my birthday, and the 0-0 against Georgia was my 21st birthday. So, but the ones like this game, my birthday was a few days after this game, so I went up to it. And the Gibraltar 7-0 was the day of my birthday, I think, as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I get a good one.
Yeah, you can be lucky.
Celtic Warrior asking what would our team for the Slovakia game be? He says Randolph, Doherty, Coleman, Egan, Duffy,
throw
Stevens.
Up the comment.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I thought I had it hit. He says Randolph, Doherty, Coleman, Egan, Duffy, Stevens as a 3-5-2 with Hendrick, McCarthy, and Howard, and then Long and McGoldrick. Strong team. It's a very strong team.
Yeah.
Keep it up there.
Would I go first?
Yeah, you go. I'm just reading this team. Go on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, personally, I think that's a very strong team. The only thing I'd say about not finding fault with you, but I think it's hard to leave Callum Robinson out. I think he's a great player.
He's been very good form as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I would find it hard to leave him out of the team. Being honest, I wouldn't start Long. I think McGoldrick would start, but I would still like to see Callum Robinson in there. I don't know what you think now, but I think it'd be a mistake leaving him out.
That was okay. I take back what I said about them not making a wonder save out of Randolph. What a save!
Yeah.
The power in it. I know it's close to him, but gets it away as well. I off the top of my head, I would agree. Robinson hasn't done too much for Ireland recently in this campaign. In terms of end product, he's been good. In terms of the team I play, I would probably have a fairly similar starting 11, but if I was thinking the team Kenny will play, I would imagine he'll probably for his first game stick with maybe a 4 at the back, because 3 at the back in such an important game can be a little bit risky. I think he spoke with Duffy or Doherty for the forward, so maybe it'll be the 4 of Coleman, Egan, Duffy, Stevens with Doherty, Hendrick, McCarthy, Howrahan, Robinson on the left, and McGoldrick up top. If I was guessing, but it's so hard to predict. We don't even know what way the games will fall.
Yeah, but
I
it
think
also falls
McGoldrick
down
is
to...
a given.
Sorry,
George,
go on.
I was just saying, I think McGoldrick is a given in the team. I couldn't see him being left out of it. There's just something, What do you think? Do you reckon someone can get in ahead of him, or?
He said that McGoldrick is still in his plans. I read that Dan McDonald was tweeting about it earlier. He also said Talbot was in his plans as well, I think, or he mentioned him a couple of times. So there's there's reason to be optimistic, but onto the actual starting lineup. Yeah, Conor Robinson deserves to be in and around the starting team, but I don't think he deserves to be starting. I mean, he's never took his real chance at lovely play that. Oh, he gives it back to him.
Someone here reckons McGoldrick, Robinson, and Doherty is front three. Obviously, there's a lot of football, potentially, maybe not, to be played between now and whenever the playoff is. We still don't actually
Sorry,
know.
I got distracted from the chance there.
But
But no, Robinson, I mean, he's all right. But if someone like Ida or Connolly or Albafemi come in there, I'd probably have them ahead of him in terms of up front. I think maybe Robinson's been unlucky in a sense that he hasn't got a chance to go through the middle, and he says that's his best position. So that might be something as well. But he's been played out wide, right, a lot of the time. Hasn't really done anything. So he probably wouldn't get into my starting team. If I was picking it right now, and I had the chance to pick the whole team, which is obviously never going to happen. But Randolph obviously in goal. I'd have Seamus Coleman. This is a 4-3-3, so it's just Seamus Coleman right back, Egan, Duffy, Stevens. Then I'd have either James McCarthy or Josh Cullen, depending on their fitness, as a replacement for Glenn Whelan. And then I would probably have Hendrick and Malumbi beside each other, with McGoldrick as the striker, Doherty on the right, and on the left, probably Robbie Brady or James McLean. I think that's a realistic team.
Not a bad shout either, I think our left side, we have a lot of older players who haven't played particularly well, like McLean and Brady. Not older, more experienced. And then a lot of exciting lads like Connolly, Ida, even Robinson, who could play out there too. It'll be interesting. But like I said, there's a lot of football to be potentially played, maybe not. And we're still not exactly sure where the playoff will be. It could be, there's talk of one leg in October, one leg in November, and there's also talk that it could be put on in March. So we've no real idea. I don't think anyone does. I don't think even UEFA know. Mark Meehan.
Yeah, well, they're saying it could be pushed back to November, and if that's the case, you'll have the Nations League games to prepare himself for the.
Reckons Jack Byrne should start. I don't think so in a big game. I'd be happy to give him a chance and see if he can do it in Nations League games, maybe. Hatter agrees with him, saying Byrne on the right, and he agrees with Mark Meehan, saying that we lacked creativity like Houlihan throughout the whole campaign. So.
Yeah, I know in the friendly with New Zealand that Byrne did start. It was against New Zealand. That did he start against New Zealand, or he came on as a sub?
I'm sure he played anyway, because himself and Parrott were going that game.
Yeah, because
he started against New Zealand. He was sub against Bulgaria.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I remember him creating good chances. I remember him being solid, and I do agree with you there. He does create chances. He has a bit of a thing like Wes with him,
Oh, good foul one there. I agree with you. I think, I just think that the Nation League games will be important if we can get a few of them in beforehand. If it even goes ahead, it could be called off. But if we can get a couple of competitive matches for Kenny, it'll get him to try out a few things, and even maybe get him a chance to sorry, Matt Hummels, his dive thing was making me laugh. It could be a chance to get kind of a monkey off the back of some of the younger lads in terms of giving them a debut, giving them even 45 minutes or an hour to show what they can do. And then against Slovakia, they could really step up. And hopefully
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be interesting whatever way Kenny sets up. I think it's exciting, isn't it? It's something to be excited about.
Definitely, yeah.
It's not something that you're thinking and you're thinking you're dreading it. Like, do you know what I mean? I think people are positive about it. The fact that now it's a chance for some of our younger players who probably wouldn't have got a chance under Mick. In like bigger games, maybe Jack Byrne as well. For them to get a chance. Jack played a part in that goal for James Collins, the ball to end of Stevens. So, like, yeah, I mean, but there's a big difference between a friendly and obviously a competitive game. So, look, I'd love to see him play in a competitive game. I think it'd be great for not just the league, but I think it'd be great for himself. Personally, I think it'd be great for him. Like, there's never really, like I spoke to you about it before, Cian. It's that like Nick McCarthy, we were at Q&A in London, and he said he didn't trust Jack Byrne in big games, and then has him in the squads for the big games. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you have someone in there you don't trust to play in those games in your squad? So that's why I was saying I think Jack would probably have to go to England before he gets really, really considered for a regular place. Similar to Keith Barry, similar to Wes Houlihan, similar to most League of Ireland lads that had to leave to get a regular starting place with Ireland. I'm not saying that he can't get in there, but to be regularly considered, I think he'd have to be playing over in England at a higher level.
We got a quick question here from Mark Meehan asking, do we think it's harsh that McCarthy didn't get to finish the job? I mean, Jack.
No, it cuts out the uncertainty.
All I was going to say is, I mean, if Jack wants to give his 2 cents, that's great. We also have a full video talking about it. Me, Paul, and one of our other correspondents. If you wanted to check that out, where we give kind of more insight into it. But I mean, in the short of it, I don't think so. I think Paul had said it. But Jack, if you want to give a quick word on it.
Yeah, well, like, you know, I like Mick personally. Whether with Ireland or wherever, I always had time for him. But and you know, a lovely fella. He always came across nice in press conferences. And
the Walters moment.
But you know, I would have been happy to see him stay on for the playoffs, to be honest, because I think, you know, from what I've heard, he was great motivation to the team. His experience, you know, he was a respected voice in the dressing room. He was respected by quite a lot of Irish fans, bar some few who kind of, you know, didn't agree with his tactics or so. But I was disappointed to see him go before the playoffs. I know there's a different time scale now, given playoffs probably won't be for another few months. And if Stephen Kenny has Nations League games, has friendlies to prepare, you know, I couldn't fault him then. But I was disappointed to see him go. You know, I feel I don't know that he had more to offer, but I think he was steadier, you know? What do you think, Paul? Would you...
see that tackle by Wes Houlihan?
Yeah.
So we're into the 90th minute now. 89th. But there's Paul Chew. Paul Chew's on the telly. Sorry, you were asking my opinion on Mick McCarthy.
Yeah, I was just saying that I was disappointed to see him go before the playoffs.
I was, because maybe in a more personal scale than on Irish manager level. I got to know Mick over the course of the year, and he was more often than not, he was very nice to me. So in that sense, I kind of wanted to see him fill off the job. In terms of thinking long term and thinking, like, if we were thinking towards the Euros, say we had won the playoffs, how many of the younger players would have got a chance in the Euros? Realistically, probably not a lot. We would have been just going there to make up the numbers. Whereas I think with Kenny, I think we'll actually be going there to try and get results and try and. I don't know if he'll be trying to win it, but I'd love if he was. I mean, if we get there, there's Poland full time 2-2. Look at this, Jeff Hendrick bombing on.
My 2 cents on it, just in quick, is that I think that with hindsight, obviously being 2020, Mick's time in the job is to an extent a bit of a waste of time, given that he will now not do the playoffs, and essentially the matches he played were irrelevant because the playoff spot was already got by O'Neill. But look, with what we have in front of us, I don't think there's any reason really to keep Mick on. If you're choosing between keeping Mick on and if you don't have the option, let's say I would be surprised if they didn't. That Kenny was signed a contract saying he would be Ireland manager on the 30th of July. I think Paul said. I don't think Kenny has any obligation to hand the job to anyone else who
It was the right decision. It was just so many people want it. It's 2020 now, and everybody wants to be controversial about everything. It was the right decision. It needed to be made. They found out that the playoffs were going to be played after mixed time, so they just said, right, well, look, we're going to have Stephen in. The uncertainty's cut clear. I think that's the transparency that needs to be in the FAI now, and I think that's to do with the likes of Niall Quinn and so on. Look at Johnny Walters just holding off the Germans here.
And
things you love to see.
Without being overly conspiracy theory, I suppose, Mick's got a lot of buddies in the media. The old FAI have a lot of buddies in the media, and people who go against that will be criticised. And Kenny is going to be the face of a new Ireland, hopefully in a new FAI. So at the end of the day, look, you got to he's going to have to prepare himself for that. There's going to be a lot of people who, for some reason, are loyal to John Delaney, and Mick McCarthy that decision has been criticised by certain people, and it's going to be Kenny might end up being a bit of a lightning rod. I think it's the sensible Ireland fans and the real Ireland fans who have to kind of get behind him and back him as much as they can.
Yeah, I have full faith in Stephen Kenny. It's just, it was all about the time scale, really. Like the reason I was disappointed to see Mick go would have been if the playoffs were coming up sooner, but now given that they mightn't go ahead till October, November, or possibly even next year, I'm more than happy to see Kenny take over and hopefully see him settle in. I have full faith that given enough time, before, if he was facing into a playoff now, we'll say in the next few weeks or next month or that way, I wouldn't be it's wrong to say I wouldn't be confident, but I'd be a lot more optimistic with Mick if that was the case.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Mark Meehan, asking what club do we support? I'm Cork City. Jack, you're also Cork City, and Paul's Shelburne and Everton. Jack Celtic as well. I suppose we'll have to give you that one too, will we?
Yeah.
Oh, well done, Randolph.
I'm not a glory hunter. Celtic's in the blood.
Mark Meehan. Sorry, Paul. What'd you say?
Who's the glory hunter? Me?
No.
Jack I was defending myself.
Mark Meehan saying, do we hear about Kenny saying we're the top 10 defence in Europe? I mean, as international teams go, just having two players who play together at club level in the way Egan and Stevens does is a huge advantage. And
well done, Shane Long.
I mean, if you're looking at England's defence, just to jump to mind, Michael Keane starts for England, and I would say Egan and Duffy are much more solid defenders. Maybe not as good on the ball, but
lads, look at this by Walters, absolute class.
John Walters showing his experience.
The 4th minute of added time.
I think you'd struggle to put together a strong argument for 10 stronger defences than ours.
We've done it.
Paul celebrating the win.
Yeah.
5 years on.
Look at the scene.
5 years on, what a night.
Who the hand? Fucking Shane Long with Robbie Brady just screaming yeses in his ears. Sorry, what were you saying? I got a bit lost in the moment.
Someone asking, what do you reckon, Paul? Ireland has one of the top 10 defences in Europe. Do we agree? I think it's hard to disagree.
Robbie Keane passing the torch. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah. And Kevin Doyle. Sorry.
Oh, I love seeing Kevin Doyle back in Ireland gear. I'd love to have him back. He can play till he's 50 in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, look. I think if you have Coleman in that back four, it's actually stronger. I think if you move Matt Doherty up, he's a better attacker. But I don't want to keep going back into the Coleman, Doherty, debate all the time. Look, they should be able to fit in the team, play beside each other on that right-hand side.
And I think Mick fell back on defensive tactics a bit too much. When you have a defence that could probably handle a bit more attacking tactics in that they're so solid out. And anyway, if you look at the way O'Neill played here, he had a much worse defence than Mick had for nearly every game of the campaign.
Yeah,
and O'Neill was a lot more positive in this game than Mick was in games against Georgia. Ireland went and tried to score a goal in this game. Against Georgia, they tried to score a set piece. Not just to be grilling in on Mick, but I think Kenny's got...
Well, in 2017, he was,
Mm-hmm. So that's the end of the game. We're over here. There's 10 minutes left. We can stream 4 if people have any questions.
Yeah.
We have a quick thing from Patter here saying Kenny's attacking play definitely a positive. It's where we went wrong in the qualifiers. It's a good point. Very good point. In that, like, going forward, we were shocking. We didn't score enough goals. We scored 11 goals against Gibraltar under O'Neill, and we scored 3 against them under McCarthy, which is definitely not good enough in my eyes. So
that's spot on. Really, like, it was just going forward. We kind of lacked the intensity at times, but in the defense, it is very hard to fault the defense. You know, given the level they're playing at. You know, it's the first time in a long time that, you know, nearly everyone in the starting Ireland team is playing at such a high level consistently. Absolutely.
By Jeff coming in saying Doherty fits Kenny's play a lot more. He attacks a lot. It's a very good point. Owen O'Connell asking who do we think the best prospect is for us. I think we answered that earlier. We said Malumbi, Ida. We had a lot of good shouts in there. If people, I suppose, want to jump in with any suggestions for the next game for people to watch, it would be a good chance to do it now before we finish up. What do you reckon, lads? What would be your highlights after? I think this would probably be my highlight ever, along with the Italy game in the Euros. Do you have any other shout-outs for games?
For this game?
No, for games you'd want to watch next.
The Holland game from 2001. The game against Italy, Sweden game.
I'd like the Sweden game.
The Germany 2002. I'd love to watch that again.
Yeah.
Cameroon, Matt Holland scoring that goal.
The 2-2 against Italy I'd love to watch because I haven't seen that since whatever age I was, probably only 10 or 11 at the match. Never actually watched it back.
The wheeling
the wheeling with Mark Meehan here. Sorry, I have to call him out for this, saying that Harps are better than Cork. That's not what happened the night Cork played Harps.
Yeah.
There was only one
too well we remember that.
Yeah. And we Mark Meehan 2 goals too. after the brutal assault that came from the Harps striker on our goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Brutal, absolutely brutal. Someone said Italy when Brady scored. Good shout.
Yeah, I'd say that'll be one of the next ones, hopefully.
Well, we have to see. He said I have to be patient. So
yeah, of course. We don't know when we'll have streams and stuff, but if people want to,
we can still do stuff like this though. If people are interacting and want us to talk about stuff, we can just do this. Like I literally, I could just throw my phone up on a little holder here and do it for an hour or whatever. I don't mind.
Hopefully we'll have maybe some players on. I'm looking to get someone on from Cork City in the next few days, and hopefully we'll have a bit of a Q&A either here or on Instagram, whatever he says to me.
I think even, you know, I don't know that I really want to watch the game back, but the game against Switzerland in this last qualifier when McGoldrick scored the equalizer, that I have just great memories of that. And we were behind the goals, and just when the goal went in, there was just scenes like where there was people falling, there was just, I don't know. It was pure madness.
That was quality, yeah. Do you know what?
Sorry, go on, Paul.
My mate was over from Canada, and he never told me that he was coming that week. And I was just like, I remember him saying to me, going, "Are you around?" And I was very busy that week because I did the interview with Gary Neville. Then there was obviously the Ireland press conferences leading up to the game, so it would have been very busy, like, you know. And he texted me, goes, "Oh yeah, I'm in Dublin. Are you doing anything?" And I was just like, because normally I try and make sure I get out and see my mates or whatever, you know. So I said to him, I said, "Hey, look, come and stay at my house. You can stay with me or whatever." And he actually came with me to meet Gary Neville or whatever, right? And then we went to the Ballsbridge Hotel before the Switzerland game. I said, "Look, we're going to go to the Ireland game. We're trying to get a ticket or whatever." And someone came over and started talking to me and gave him a free ticket in the singing section. So he got to see the David McGoldrick goal and the scenes. And it's something that will always live with him for the rest of his life, getting to see that, you know, because the scenes were unbelievable.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
That's amazing.
The fans have been really, really good the last couple of years. It's been great. Paul, did you say there's a 2-hour limit on this stream? Because we're coming up very close. Did you say it cuts off after 2 hours?
Do you want to end it?
Well, we've 5 minutes if anyone has any last minute questions. Mark me and
if you press
Cork.
And when you press end, it'll put us straight up on YouTube anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's no worries. Mark Meehan saying Harps are better than Cork. Didn't see that last season. I'm not going to hit Mark Meehan's next comment about the songs against Ericsson. I nearly hit it, putting that up on the screen. But that was interesting, to say the least. We got a bit of a hostile. Bit of hostility from the fans in that match, but I'm going to take that off. Someone asking who's better, Ida or Connolly. I think, Paul, you said you don't like these questions, and I think you're right. It's hard to tell. Right now, I'd probably have the two of them fighting for the last striker spot in the squad behind Obafemi. But
that's fair.
Who will be better? I mean, the stupid answer is we don't know. But I think Ida has a better chance if Norwich go down to really make a mark next season in the Championship. But it'll be.
But they will go down, won't they? Like, I mean,
well, it depends. If the league is called off, you don't know.
Yeah, well,
we don't know.
I suppose in a way,
it's hard to
in
tell.
a way. But what was I going to say? But they're so far off, like staying up.
Oh
yeah.
But if the league gets called as people think it might be, then I'd say it'll just be. They might end up with another season in the Premier League because they can't relegate some teams and not give Liverpool a title. But we're not going to get into that debate about Liverpool and the title because we'll set someone off in the comments.
Yeah, well, look, just as long as two of them turn out to be really good players for all, I don't care who's better.
Yeah, it's like there's players who haven't done much at club level but have been great for Ireland, and I'll take that over anything else. Padder Obwell saying, Jack Byrne or McGoldrick interview, please. I think there is a Jack Byrne interview, isn't there, Paul?
Yeah, I did one before, yeah. I actually messaged Didsy. I asked John Egan to ask him as well, but I think he was just private, so.
Yeah, I asked him once before, and I think he's quite a quiet lad. So, unlikely.
All the players at the moment, because of that, that statement they put out and stuff like that, I think a lot of clubs don't want them talking to people, because I was talking to Darrell O'Shea, he said he'd do them, but I had to go through the club. Sean Maguire, Preston said they can't do it right now because of the COVID-19 stuff. So it is putting a bit of a blocker on getting them on. Like they have said that they will do it. Seamus Coleman as well. He's trying to sort out stuff because he's a club captain. So all the club captains are trying to sort out all that stuff. So he's not coming on now because, for a while, if he does come on, it's no guarantees. So if you haven't gone and checked out the ones with Howrahan, Afalabi, John Egan and Randolph, they're all up on the channel, so check them out. And if you search some names, there'll be other names there from previous interviews that we got. There's older players like that, so go and watch them back for now, and we'll do our best to get other players.
A nice question to finish it off maybe is just from Mark Meehan, who's had some good comments, aside from his opinions on Cork City. He asks, I mean, it'd be nice way to finish this, who's your favourite Irish player currently? Not necessarily the best, but your favourite. If we all maybe finish up with that.
Mine has always been Coleman and will be till he retires.
Mm-hmm. Jack?
Yeah, I'm James McLean. I love James McLean, and that's probably. I'm gonna leave it at that. I just love him. He's always been my favourite since he came.
There's
into the
another
Irish
great question. I'm gonna have to put it in a second, but I'm gonna give my favourite player. I'd say Randolph. I think Randolph he doesn't get enough credit. I think he's been ridiculously good since taking over from Given. It was gonna be a huge set of gloves to fill, and he's done it unbelievably. Like just consistent, not even 6, 7, consistent 8 or 9 out of 10 in every game. I don't think he's ever made a mistake for Ireland. I don't think he ever will, really. I'm going to jinx him now. And the last one, because this is another great question, is an all-time five-a-side Irish team. He says Paul McGrath, Keane, Liam Brady, Duff, and Robbie Keane. He doesn't want a goalkeeper, apparently, so that'll be a fairly handy team to get past. But if you want to think, maybe, I probably go. I'm going to put Randolph in goals because I think his distribution's better than Given. I think you need that in a five-a-side. I'm going to go off a fairly recent one. I'll go Randolph. I'll go Egan. I'll go Stevens. I think Didsley's good for a five-a-side, and probably Houlihan for that those little turns on a smaller pitch. So I'm Randolph, Egan, Stevens, Houlihan, and Didsley.
No Robbie Keane.
I'm going recent. I said I'd do a recent team.
But he's going Paul McGrath, Liam Brady, Duff, and Robbie
I know
Keane.
he's going. I said I'd go for a more recent one.
He did pick a keeper.
Oh, he did pick a keeper. I didn't read it. My fault.
He has Given and go. I would go Given, Richard
for
Dunn.
6 players then. Sorry.
Given, Richard Dunn, Roy Keane. This is players I've seen.
I'm going for players I've seen as well. I never saw the best of Robbie Keane.
Matt Holland. That's 4, is it?
Mm-hmm.
And Robbie Keane. Actually, I'm gonna take Duff out. Duff in for Matt Holland.
Okay.
So what are you saying?
Given,
Goalkeeper and 4 players.
Yeah.
Keane and Keane. What?
Jack said a goalkeeper, 4 outfield players. Yeah.
Yeah. Randolph, I suppose. First of all, no. I always like Shane Duffy, so I'm gonna put him in there. I'm gonna go Shane
Let's
Duffy.
see if it goes. Let's see if it goes past the 2 hour mark. See what happens there, Cian.
Yeah.
Right? Go on, Jack.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be saying Shane Duffy, Robbie Keane, Wes Houlihan, and I'm gonna put McLean as well because he's the man.
Doesn't Celtic Wire said I said 6 by mistake, so it's no bother. I won't call you out on it. It's grand. But no,
I think I picked the best team there, boys.
Oh, definitely. But you've seen us for longer. I ended up having. Yeah. Someone's asked again our favourite Irish players, even though we just said them, but there's no hassle. We're coming right up on 2 hours. We don't know if it'll end. 15 seconds
Coleman.
to go.
Seamus Coleman has been probably playing at the best level of all our players the last 10 years, bar his leg break.
Absolutely, I'd have to agree with you.
Consistently.
I'd have to agree with you. Hard to disagree.
Oh, it's gone over the 2 hours.
Oh, I think we're still live.
Yeah.
We are, I'd say it.
Well, there we go. Well, we can stream over 2 hours then if we need to in future.
So unless anyone has any other questions, I suppose we pack it up. 1 second. I'll just before we pack up. Our social medias are there. I suppose if anyone wants to follow them and Fan TV. I think that's our Twitters.
Yeah.
So we have one. Yeah, no.
That's my Instagram.
Oh, it's your Instagram. Well, Paul's
Doesn't
Instagram,
matter.
my Twitter, and Jack's Twitter. So aside from that, cheers, Paul, for having us on, I suppose.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's a great experience. Great to relive the moment all over again.
Good, wasn't it? It was good, something new.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Bit something different, like better than just reading fucking college books now. Something different to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it again. We'll sort it out, but we can do this more often. Where I don't know, we could do this live at 5 or something once a day.
Yeah.
And talk about the subjects or whatever, or talk about the topics, whatever's going on.
Yeah, perfect.
Sounds good.
We'll talk to you soon, boys. Thanks to everyone who tuned in.
Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.
Don't forget to subscribe if you're new.